Good afternoon, my friends. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. It's great to see you guys. Um, yeah, so uh it turns out that uh our friend uh Karen Reed has or our friend Ted Daniel has released his entire interview with Karen Reed. The interview with Karen Reed in its entirety. It's been gone over a couple times, but I made sure to avoid the streams that were covering it because I have not watched it yet. I wanted to wait. I like to share these things with you guys, and I'll be going over it, and I'm going to be pausing it, and I'll be talking, and I might even throw in some sound clips if I feel like it. I don't know, but we will be going over it. I have not watched it yet. We'll you guys know I like to do reactions. And Clubber, come on, buddy. Thanks, man. Yeah, man. That's what we're gonna do today. And I'll probably open up the phone lines. I'm still recovering from yesterday and really soaking in the interview that Turtle Boy had with Ronnie, one of the jurors in the first trial. And I mean, my big takeaway from that was that everyone now, again, I think it was really brave of Ronnie to come forward, and I think it was really, really kind of him to agree to do that interview with Aiden. And I but I the way he was describing things, it seems as though every single juror went into this thing with the mindset of her being guilty and expecting the defense to prove that she's innocent. So that's just not how our justice system works. And the fact that this was not driven home by the judge and the foreman, because I mean, people are arguing like, could Alan Jackson could have done a better job doing that? Sure. But the problem is it's not really his responsibility to do it. Is it good lawyering to do that? Sure. I would assume so, being somebody who isn't qualified to say what good lawyering is necessarily. But it's, I mean, it's the judge's responsibility ultimately that the jury understands how the justice system works. That basic aspect, that one basic thing, and clearly this jury was instructed to or at least manipulated to ignore facts from the defense and dismiss them as quote unquote distractors, and they were really hoping that the prosecution, it's like they were rooting for the prosecution to bring them more evidence. It was really disturbing what this guy was describing. And now he didn't say that in so many words, but it's like he was saying it, just the way that he described the overall situation. It's very, very unsettling, to say the least. So I'm sure that Karen Reed's defense team, as well as herself and her family, have watched this, and they have taken what was said there to heart, and will learn from it, and apply what they learned to the next trial. Hopefully it doesn't go to trial, but I mean, I'm absolutely expecting it to do so. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm still not over it, if I'm being completely honest. Because if you guys you guys know, I mean, if you guys have been paying attention, I'm mostly interested in this case, mostly because I'm I'm a patriot. I believe in our justice system. I believe what our forefathers had in mind for our justice system. And that the description that Ronnie provided with us was just exactly what our justice system was not designed to be. And I thought it was just plain un-American. Like my heart broke over it, because the whole point of the 12 jurors is they're a jury of your peers. They're fellow Americans with no skin in the game, other than their own rights. And it's like they just disregarded how dangerous that method of thinking was, to their own rights. And in all fairness, they don't really understand. I get that they don't really understand because they're probably not following this. I mean, they're obviously not following this case, but they probably don't follow true crime in any way. And even the people in the overall true crime community don't even seem to know or care that this is how our justice system works, since they tend to point fingers at people hoping to be the one to crack the case because they want to be armchair sleuths, and so they want to make crazy accusations at people, and they want a villain. The people want a villain, and it feels as though that kind of mentality just infected this jury pool. And I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if that's just, that jury being that way, it was in any way a result of our culture today, and how popular crime cases are, and how, there's always a villain, and the whole thing. The reason why people follow true crime cases, and the reason why it's so popular, is not so much for the reasons that I follow it. I'm few and far between. Most people follow them because they want a villain. They want somebody to hate. They want somebody to sneer at. They want somebody to boo. And I worry that it's gotten so far that it actually has just infected how people think generally, and infected how these people tried this case, or I feel like they just sat there and even subconsciously had this mentality. Okay, well, now we're in a real case now, and it's on the news and stuff, so it's on us to make sure that this person never sees the light of day again. I think that's how a lot of them thought. Not all the jurors, but I think a lot of them thought that way. That they had an opportunity to get to tell people at dinner and lunches and water coolers at their jobs, that oh yeah, I was on the jury. I was the reason why that cop killer got locked up. I was one of the people that voted guilty. And I think that was what the mentality was, to some degree, on some of those jurors. And it's scary. It's really scary. And that's exactly why I have always been this way with my channel, where I'm just like, dude, you guys got to be careful, man. Pointing fingers at people without any evidence. You got to be careful with that. That's somebody's life. These people are suffering. And yeah, honestly, it's just bummed me out ever since we talked about it yesterday. And yeah, you kind of get into a place where it's just like, what am I doing this for? Like this is the thing that I'm most passionate about when covering these cases, and I'm losing. you know And I say me because I don't really know anybody else, any other real true crime creators who focus on these things. They just go with the consensus of they read the room, they read their chat, and they give them what they want. They feed it because they think it's going to generate more views and more money for them. And yeah, it's a bummer, man. It's really a bummer when you really think about it. So yeah, it's really scary. Because like I said, I mean, think about it. If this culture becomes so popular, I mean, who's absorbing this? Who are the consumers of this culture? Our peers. And our peers are susceptible to jury duty. It's scary. It's really scary. So yeah. So that's where my mind's been all day. Um so Angel, thank you so much. Did I watch Lawyer breaking down all the motions with his dad? It was fantastic. His dad called Brennan a crybaby. Because that's because Brennan is a fucking crybaby. And thank you, Liz. I was crying today over it. Yeah, it's a sad situation. This isn't just about one case. It's a whole thing, people. This isn't just about one case. Like this is about every case. This is about all of you, me, everyone. This is about Aiden's case. This is about everybody. Imagine now there's this culture of pitchforkers, and then you end up in trouble through no fault of your own. You didn't actually break the law, and then you end up on trial, and your jury is full of a bunch of pitchforkers. It's fucking crazy. Scary as shit. Right, exactly. Like, what in the fuck? And somebody planted that. That's like a buzzword, dude. That guy kept saying distractors, like as if that was repeated in the jury pool. And I want to know who planted that buzzword. And my money's on the foreman. And the foreman is handpicked by Bev. So what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Distractors. What? Yeah, pay no attention to the distractors. And when you get to the crime scene, you're going to get to view the crime scene, but don't pay attention to too many details in the crime scene. You don't want to do that. Don't pay attention to too many details. Just there to look, and you're allowed to look at your notes in this little period of time during deliberation to that period of time. You're only allowed to reference them when we tell you you can reference your notes. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And I see Esty in the chat. Esty had her first live stream today. So yeah, and it went really well. She had Michelle Littlefield on. You guys know who she is. And hold on a second here. And I'm dropping Esty's YouTube channel link in the chat. Make sure to click on it and subscribe. Yeah, it's great. It's like her first one, and last I saw, she had like 800 views, like over 800 views, which is amazing. It's fantastic. She did really well. I know how your first live stream feels like, and it's some nerve-wracking fucking shit. It absolutely is. And she did great. She knocked it out of the park. Now, so today, man, I just put myself in a bad fucking mood, and I'm sorry about that, guys. I want to try to snap out of it if I can. But yeah. Today, Ted Daniel, Boston 25, dropped the entire Karen Read interview. We saw bits and pieces of it before. We were all stoked about it. And there were some really uplifting things. Hopefully this puts me in a better mood. And I'm going to go ahead and find it and play it. And we're going to go over it. And then if I'm in a good mood, I'll open up the phone lines. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. I just saw something that made me just go, yikes, Jesus. Okay, let's and I don't think I'm going to speed this up. I'm just going to let it play.
Full disclosure, we invited you here, but of course, it is unusual for someone who's accused of murder to do this interview or others. Why do you want to speak to the people of Massachusetts?
And let me make something abundantly clear too. It is very strange or unusual that Karen Read would or anybody who's accused of murder would conduct this so many sit down interviews like this. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Everybody keeps telling me, no, you dummy, that DAs never talk about these cases. They never do interviews or press conferences. You're out of your fucking mind. I've been doing this shit 5 years, and I can't think of one high-profile case that didn't have a press conference addressing the situation conducted by the DA and or the prosecutor and the lead investigator in the case, sometimes the lead investigator in the case, addressing the public before the trial. I don't, I don't want to hear that shit. And how many press conferences have we seen Michael Morrissey do? Nobody finds it suspicious that we saw Michael Morrissey do a bunch of press conferences on things that just they swept under the rug, that they said, like that one dude, they said it was a suicide. They were like, nah, it was a suicide, nothing to see here. It's all good. And then that was it, right? And by the way, in case you're thinking, no, it's not normal for a DA to make a pre-recorded press release statement and stating things to be fact that just aren't. And straight up lying, lies that have been disproven since. No, that's not normal. What is normal is for the DA to address the public, a public who is expecting justice for a fallen Boston police officer and wants to know answers. It's absolutely normal for them to do that. And Michael Morrissey never did this. So I don't want to hear that shit. Anybody who tries to say that, they never talk about, no, they don't. They tell you when they take questions, they say, we're not going to get into details of an open investigation. That's all they leave out. But they'll say, well, I have full confidence that the investigators who were involved did an excellent job, and I believe we'll get a conviction and get justice for Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. I guarantee you. I mean, that's exactly what any DA would normally do, but we never heard that from DA Morrissey. We just saw this pre-recorded bullshit, edited ridiculous bullshit, defending the McAlberts. The whole purpose of it was to defend the McAlberts. So, I mean, yeah, everything about this case is back-asswards. Everything about this case and everything being back-asswards is more indication to me that Karen Read is innocent. So
sits and beyond.
I have nothing to hide. My life is in the balance, and it shouldn't be. And I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant, and that's been our team motto since inception. I think the more I've seen, the more information the public has, the more they understand what we already know.
And when we talk about the public, there's so much going on in the atmosphere of this case. How much of that do you pay attention to?
I pay attention a little bit to everything.
Right. Why are we not getting transparency from the DA's office?
The parts of the public
People should be asking
that seem a little dirtier than others. I have close friends and people I trust that filter through it, because there are threads of important information in every channel.
Josh Levy did a press conference. Imagine that. Thank you, Mizzy. Good point.
Of the public on social media, just out and about in Norfolk County or in Suffolk, through our emails. So what I can't manage or don't want to manage, we have a lot of it covered from people that we trust and people who support us.
People said some pretty nasty things about you online. Do you read that? Do you process that?
I read some of it. I don't take it to heart, but it's bothersome. But I understand why it is. There are bad, evil, nefarious players in this. There are people who are adverse to other people in this whole case. People.
Yeah. Everything she just said was absolutely true. Everything about it was absolutely.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I think we got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat.
How dare you?
Kelly R, thank you so much. I'm a little behind, but I remember seeing that lady on the federal grand jury for Trump, and she was giddy about getting to decide his fate. Obviously a Trump hater. That was truly scary to watch her news clip. Oh, okay. I thought you were referring to somebody that I mentioned. I was like, what lady? What are you talking about? You're just saying, you're giving an example as to somebody who just was sitting on a grand jury, just looking to nail somebody, dude. That's messed up.
People who support me, and it's to heart, but it's bothersome. But I understand why it is. There are bad, evil, nefarious players in this. There are people who are adverse to other people in this whole case. People who support me, and I've known my whole life, as does everyone, that there's not a lot of good in some people, and it doesn't drag me down in any way. It makes me feel like we're covering ground here. The nastier it gets, the more I know that we're making an impact to people that have a lot to worry about.
3 years have now passed since John's death. How much do you think about him with everything else that is going on?
I think about him in terms of his final days, his final weeks. I mean, we have his cell phone, which a cell phone to anyone is like a diary, and it tracks everything you've done. And I've gone over and over his final movements, his heart rate, his injuries, the time that he did everything that day and the days leading up to it. But I've said this to other people. The time that I spent with John, 2 years, it's now been 3 since he's gone, since he was killed. And I'm a year beyond. I've eclipsed the time that I spent with him. And I have very mixed feelings, when I look back on John, because I see a lot of poor decisions that were all precursors to his death and to this nightmare that I'm living. So it's
Poor decisions by whom?
by both of us. Just drinking, being around the wrong people is chief among them. Wrong people for the weeks leading up. They wouldn't have been people I would have chosen on my own to be around.
Have you been able?
Now, that's very telling. Because think about that. How many times have you gotten into trouble where it was just one simple decision, one bad decision on your part? That doesn't necessarily mean that you were like, it's something to feel guilty about, something that you were like, where something where you were like, okay, well, I know I'm doing something wrong here if I do this. I don't mean something like that. I don't mean a conscious decision to hurt someone or to do something bad. I mean like making a decision where you didn't really know what you were getting into. Your gut was probably telling you, this is probably not a good idea. But you thought, I mean, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? And then you got into some shit, but nothing like this. But think about it. I mean, who's to dictate what kind of shit you're going to get into? You know what I mean? She didn't know that her boyfriend was going to end up dead. He was going to a house full of a bunch of cops. She didn't know that. She didn't think that. You know what I mean? Like, but she also knew, like, these aren't people that I want to hang out with necessarily. I don't really, these are John's friends. These are my boyfriend's friends, and fuck it, like I'm just kind of along for the situation. I'll hang out. I'll do what I'm doing. Great. And I'll follow his lead. It'll be fine. And then this happens. He ends up dead, and she ends up getting blamed for it. And her gut was telling her, I'm not really wild about these people. You get Jen McCabe fucking probably all wired out at the waterfall talking about, come with me. I have a surprise for you, Karen. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get weirded out. You're going to go, ooh, okay. Nah. Yeah, I think I'm good right here. But so, like, yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy that just a simple, like, these people are fucking weird and they're not my people. You know what I mean? But, fuck it, I'll hang out with them anyway. And then look what happens, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just like decide not to hang out with people anymore? You know what I mean? Because nobody's fucking perfect. You know, I mean, what do? You trust your significant other, and they're like, yeah, it's fine. Let's go. You know what I mean? You've been with this person for however long they were together. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to think, it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be fine. It's crazy.
To start a new social life, a new dating life since this?
No, I have my friends that were always in my life. I'm closer to them than ever. And it's been kind of a bittersweet silver lining is I don't know that I ever would have known my friends and family had this in them to be there for me in this way. So I feel very fortunate. And I've met so many new people. And that's enough of a life for me right now is, you know, we go out for dinner just to get out, and we end up just kind of hungered down over a table discussing the case. And I value their input, and I'm content with my social life, even though it's really just socializing about the case.
How big is Karen Reed's inner circle?
My inner circle.
I mean, listen to that.
Well,
and that's how these things are. I mean, when you're involved in any type of legal action, whether it be civil, whether it be, I mean, well, I don't know about that, but like family court shit, like say you're trying to get, I don't know, custody of a kid, or you're accused of murder. I mean, there are lives that technically hang in the balance. And she's describing her life right now as, even in social situations, she has friends and a support system, a social support system, friends that she's had her whole life, which again speaks volumes of her character. People who are still friends with the people that they've been friends with their entire lives. That speaks volumes of someone's character. And even still, when she wants to be social and just be normal, and they go out to a restaurant together, they hunker down at their table and they talk about the case. They don't talk about anything but the case. So this completely and totally consumes this consumes her at this point. All of your time is what am I missing? What can I do? How can I be one step ahead here? You know, because you're afraid. Somebody's coming for you. Somebody's coming to get you all the time. That's the feeling that you got. They're coming to get me. You imagine being a little kid thinking that there's a monster under your bed and always feeling like that monster is going to come get you constantly, and then having to manage those kind of fears and anxieties as an adult.
Well, half of it's my attorneys who we just talk so much. There's always so much ground to cover, and we can't wait until trial starts to really begin strategizing or going through the details. We do a little bit every day.
You do a lot every day.
We do I should say we do a little bit in proportion to the total task at hand, but we cover a lot of hours every day. I probably talk to Alan and Liza each 3 or 4 times a day. And it makes us all feel good that we're going to be that much more prepared when we have to do this for round 2. But my inner circle, I don't know. It's bigger than it was. It's bigger than it was before, but it feels stronger than it ever was. I know that I can trust the people that I chose to have in my life.
Is that 5, 10?
10 maybe.
Okay.
Really, really tight, it's probably 5.
Alan, have you ever had a client who's advocated for themselves as much as Karen does?
Not as articulately or as intelligently as Karen does. Karen is an innocent woman falsely accused. She could sit back and say, go handle this. You're the professionals, go deal with it. That is not in her personality. And we're a better team for it. She has an encyclopedic knowledge of literally every single page of the discovery. I've never seen anything like it. She has an analyst's brain. She's got a rapier intelligence that is attendant to this type of analysis. Very, very smart, very motivated. She has no off button. I'm getting texts. I wake up, I'm on the West Coast. So I wake up, she's been awake for 3 hours. And nearly every day, I feel like, damn it, I've fallen back again. I've fallen behind again. Liza and I have to sort of get back on the treadmill and catch up with where Karen is today, because she'll literally just pick something out of the blue. To me, it's out of the blue. To her brain, it makes sense for her to pull this document or pull this report and say, well, have we thought about this paragraph or this sentence or this word in this report here or there? And then we gather together as a team, me and David and Liza and Karen will get on the phone and talk it through. So she's been, more than any other client I've ever seen, any other client I've ever met, she's been at the center of her own defense. She knows she didn't do this. She's motivated to make sure that the truth comes out.
Has she made any seminal decisions in this case?
It's really interesting to hear Alan Jackson say that, because this is what we see. This is what we see, and we assume by what we're looking at when we watch her in trial and during pretrial, right? Is she is completely and totally involved in whatever's going on. She's writing things down. She's, talking back and forth with her counsel. She's, incredibly involved. And we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's great to hear. I mean, we assume it, and it's great to hear Alan Jackson confirm. Yeah, she is totally involved in her case. Absolutely involved, at the center of it.
Have we seen any filings that are directly from her decision and her thought process of how things should play out?
The better question is, have we seen any filings that she didn't have a seminal investment in, a decision about, a suggestion about? Every single thing that you've ever seen filed in this?
I mean, dude, it's dude. So Alan Jackson being and let me tell you something, dude. I met this guy. This guy owns the room. He owns the room. He's that kind of personality. You sit down in a room with this guy and all eyes are on him, and he demands the room just by how strong his personality is. He doesn't even really necessarily need to be talking, but he has the kind of personality that when he says something out loud, he has everyone's attention. Just like that. And he's basically describing Karen Read to be totally involved in every single decision when it comes to motions being filed, oppositions being filed, everything that happens with her case. She has say over everything. Now, legally, everyone does, right? Legally, everyone does. But the thing is that's why we pay lawyers, right? So we don't have to make those decisions. We don't know what to fucking do, right? That's why we pay lawyers. We go, dude, that last email I sent you cost me 75 fucking bucks. You know what I mean? Figure this shit out. That's what I pay you for. Figure it out. But she is completely and totally I even though I'm paying you guys, I'm not going to say I don't trust you to do this, but I expect to have an oversee over every single decision that's made in my case. That's not something you normally see. Now, you'll see that with a narcissistic asshole like Sarah Boone, who is just trying to postpone things, just trying to avoid things. But you could tell by the motions that are filed that this is not the case with Karen Read. Karen Read is absolutely trying to file motions and utilize the system to get her truth out there. And we know this to be true because her truth is the truth. Because we're seeing proof after proof after proof after proof. Too many things that dictate her innocence. Too much nefarious behavior coming from law enforcement, too much nefarious behavior coming from the McAlberts. We're just seeing it all the time.
In this case, has gone through Karen, at least I mean, some of them are hyper legal, right? But she's educated herself on, she'd make a better lawyer than most lawyers these days. But she will have an impact, and she's got a seat at the table in terms of strategy and tactics that we use every single day.
There are so many people who.
So one of the best trial lawyers I've ever seen in action just said on television that Karen Read is better than most lawyers that he's ever seen already. She's not a lawyer. Amazing. Like that speaks volumes right there.
Have never met you, but are so invested in your life and the outcome of this case. I know there are some who adamantly support you, but do you ever worry about your safety with the people who do not want to see you succeed in this case?
I did more earlier on. I feel more insulated now. I feel safer that people know. Because if anything ever happened to me or someone that I love, I think a lot of people would know where to look. So that makes me feel safer.
Have you received any credible threats?
Yep, I have. There's been some online.
She said, "Yep."
That just the fact that someone's brazen enough to even post something like that gives you some insight into their stability or lack thereof.
People showing up at your house, calling your private cell phone?
No, that has not. I've really not had my physical boundaries impinged in any way, nor have my parents. I think by and large, very large, there are very friendly people all around me.
Your defense strategy is the most.
I mean, technically, as far as what she's talking about right now, her physicality being threatened, the closest person that's ever come to that is Grant Smith Ellis. Think about that shit for a second. Grant Smith Ellis has posed the biggest physical threat to Karen Read so far. That's fucking crazy. Grant, you got to chill out, buddy. You got to chill out, dude. Something's wrong with you, dude. Knock it off.
The most aggressive I've ever seen in a case. You've taken on the DA. You've taken on the judge. How much of that is Karen Read? How much is that the team?
Probably equal parts. The defense strategy comes down to probably 3 or 4 words: get the truth out.
Oh yeah,
That's the defense
Carl
strategy.
Dougal.
It may
I
be more
forgot about
aggressive
that.
than you're used to.
I stand corrected. Carl Dougal. Yeah, that douchebag. I still I'm only laughing because this guy was like not even 3 feet away from me, dude, as he was walking up the courthouse steps while everybody was just like, fucking piece of shit. You suck. Hip check any women today, you piece of shit. Fuck Carl Dougal.
The conduct in this case is more dire than I'm used to. I've seen a lot of cases. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't think I've ever seen a case with as many questions, as many suspect actions, and as much suspect conduct as I've seen in this case. There is unequivocally corruption in this case.
There you
are
go.
absolutely cover-ups in this case.
Get him.
There's conduct by law enforcement and the DA's office that the likes of which I've never seen. And my job, our job as a team, is to get that truth out. I'm not going to sit idly by. Our team is never going to sit idly by and let an innocent woman be convicted based on false evidence, false pretenses, cover-ups, agreements and decisions on the other side to hamstring the defense, hamstring our ability to get the truth out. I'm not going to sit idly by to do that. So is it aggressive? Sure, it's aggressive. But a woman's life is in the balance.
Dude,
So yeah, we're going to stay aggressive. We've been aggressive. We're going to stay.
let me tell you something. I had dinner with this guy like just a couple of nights. I don't even know. It was like right after this was like recorded, I think. Right after they conducted this interview at some like maybe a day or two, couple of days. And he's not fucking around. Like everything that he's saying right now is absolutely true. This dude is like they've got a fight planned. They've got a big fight planned. Now I don't know what the fight that they have planned necessarily is. But I'm telling you right now with absolute certainty that Alan Jackson is invested in this case. Absolutely invested in this case. His passion for the law and his passion for justice is driving him to get to the truth. Everything that he's saying, he is absolutely truthful coming from his mouth. Because he's actually filtering himself because he's on television right now. Put it that way. He's filtering himself because he's on television. Because the guy that I talked to, F-bomb after F-bomb, and a lot more anger and passion about what he's talking about right here. Like, make no mistake that Karen Read's team is geared up to fight.
Stay aggressive until the truth comes out.
I think it was 4 words at the end of the last trial, and it was, I'm going to declare a mistrial. What was that like for you to take in?
It was the outcome that I had thought about the least. I had thought about the best case scenario, and I always think about the worst because that's how I'm able to process. I have to think it through. How will I deal with this? Who will fight for me if I'm not sitting here to fight for myself? And of course, I thought about an acquittal because I know I deserve it. I had not really thought about a mistrial. It was only a couple days. It was like day 2, the end of day 2 into the deliberations that both David and Alan.
A lot of us were expecting a mistrial, but not for any legal purposes. Us laymen's, many of us laymen's were preparing ourselves mentally and emotionally for a mistrial because of Bev. That's it. Just because of Bev. We were like, it's you know, but honestly, there's no actual, like, there was no technical reason as to why any of us really thought that. We just were like, yep, you know, what else is there to expect from Bev? Like, it's not going to be an acquittal. There's no way they're going to find her guilty. So I just don't trust this court. I just don't trust this court.
Told me separately when we were in the church next door that this could be a mistrial. And the prospect of that at that time during jury deliberations was a gut punch. But then when it was declared, it was such a relief that I was free. I was free to sleep in my own bed, hug my parents, continue to work on this case. My immediate next worry was, I hope I have my team available to go to battle all over again. But those moments, waiting to hear 12 strangers determine what is going to physically happen to you for the foreseeable future or forever, when you're able to walk out a free woman or man, it was an incredible relief. You just see your life it can just be taken away from you.
As we head to the second trial, one of the possible outcomes here could be a conviction. That could be prison time. How much have you thought about that?
I think about it every day, about prison time, and it doesn't frighten me the way it did 3 years ago. I was arrested 3 years ago tomorrow, and I've been in jail twice as a result of this prosecution. I've now accepted the fact that what's happening to me and the awareness this case has raised and the eyes it's opened, that is what my purpose is in Massachusetts and whatever effect this has in other parts of the country. And even if a jury got it wrong, or there's even more nefarious behavior on behalf of this prosecution, then
which there's more was revealed since this interview was conducted. More nefarious behavior from the prosecution was revealed. And it's interesting because I love that she just said that her purpose right now is to, and I don't see that as her purpose. I think that it speaks volumes of her character again, that she's saying that her purpose is to bring awareness to what's going on in Norfolk County. I see her purpose as being get this over with, get out of this shit. You know, like we all just want her to go free, and you know, the rest of us are kind of trying to handle the bringing awareness stuff. You just worry about you know, but you got to understand, and I've been saying this from the beginning. Remember, I've said that the only person that's truly doing, like, who's fighting in court for justice for Boston police officer John O'Keefe is Karen Read. She's the one fighting for justice for him right now. Because again, she could have just focused on reasonable doubt or distractors. She could have just focused on the reasonable doubt. She has the attorney team to do it. She has the legal team to just make a jury go, dude, listen, you can't convict because this evidence is no good. This officer did this. This officer did that. These people lied. This woman did a Google search at 2:27 a.m. You know, they could just use these things just to create doubt and not focus on the third party culprit. They didn't have to focus on Brian Albert. They didn't have to focus on Brian Higgins. They could have simply just poked holes in the prosecution, which is extremely easy to do. And had they driven that home and just focused on that, Karen Read would have walked out of there a free woman. I'm convinced of that. Even with what we heard about this jury yesterday or the day before when Aiden interviewed this man, even with that, I believe that this legal team could have absolutely just played it safe and really focused on that. And had they really focused on that and really driven that into the minds of that jury, Karen Read would not be, she would have been acquitted. I believe that. I believe she absolutely would have been acquitted. But you could tell that she feels a responsibility since nobody else is fighting for justice for her boyfriend, the man she loved. Then she's got to do it.
Just even more awareness will be raised. So I can accept whatever happens. Nothing will ever get the best of me or break me down.
So here she's saying that even if she goes to prison, Prison doesn't scare her like it did, because even if she goes to prison, she managed to achieve what she set out to achieve here. Not getting away with murder, as people who are accusing her and saying that she's guilty is. She's not focused on that. She's not focused on putting this all behind her and just, moving on. She's not focused on that at all. I mean, of course she's focused on that, but her main concern here is she's saying, I'm not afraid of prison, because even if I go to prison, I would have created enough awareness to this case, to the corruption in Norfolk County, to get people to ask enough questions and make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. Because she also knows that if she goes to prison and she creates enough awareness, she's not going to last long in prison, in the sense that she's going to get out. She's going to be released. Charges eventually be dropped or something. But she'll be out, because that's how much faith Karen Read currently has in the truth.
There have been sort of these unsubstantiated claims in the atmosphere that there might have been some funny business with the jurors who were dismissed.
Right.
Is this a real concern that you have? Is this something that you are looking at, or have you just dismissed it as rumor?
I'll never just dismiss that as rumor. Something like that is, it's too convenient.
Let me hear that question again. Sorry.
Is this a real concern that you have? Atmosphere. There have been sort of these unsubstantiated claims in the atmosphere that there might have been some funny business with the jurors who were dismissed.
Right.
Is this a real concern that you have? Is this something that you are looking at, or have you just dismissed it as rumor?
I'll never just dismiss that as rumor. Something like that is, it's too convenient for the prosecution for us to just dismiss out of hand. Do I have any evidence, specific evidence, that there was jury tampering? I don't have any specific evidence of it. Do I think that there are questions that should be asked? Do I think that there are questions that have been raised about the way the jurors were dismissed, and who was dismissed very specifically? There were jurors who very, very clearly throughout, it's impossible to sit 8 feet away from 12 or 15 folks and not get an idea, just a chemistry idea of where those jurors are one way or the other based on certain, body language and facial expressions, et cetera, sighs and huffs and arm folds and leaning forward, leaning back, things of that nature based on certain witnesses. It's interesting that 3 of probably the most stalwart jurors who we believed, and I will go to my grave believing, were very supportive of the defense.
Absolutely.
Ended up cast aside within minutes, not days or hours, within minutes of the jurors deliberating, within minutes of me standing up and giving my final summation. Those 3 jurors were.
Now, think about how that hits now. Think about how that hits right now after we listen to Ronnie's interview with Aiden. It's interesting, right? That shit hits different now. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the first time I think we're hearing this. I don't remember hearing him talk about this in the other clips of the interviews. I think this is the first time we're hearing this, but I wonder if Ted Daniel released this in any way in lieu of Turtle Boy's interview with Ronnie. I don't find the timing to be too coincidental. Well, I mean, I do find the timing to be a bit coincidental, is what I'm saying, actually. But this hits different, man. Like, because that's something that I don't remember being brought up. I might have missed it, but 3 jurors within minutes. I thought it was just 1, but I miss a lot of facts, but 3 jurors were dismissed within minutes of him wrapping up his closing arguments and then, well, within the within the jury instructions, and then them deliberating. Like, that's crazy. And these just happen to be the jurors that Alan Jackson's team noticed making the most noticeable gestures and reactions to certain facts, bombshells, if you will, to things that were taking place in the trial. That's mind-blowing. Like, knowing that, and then knowing how this happened. Because I'm telling you, one of the people that got dismissed, I remember this person, and she was having a hard time. Like, she was having a hard time maintaining herself. And I think that I don't think it's a coincidence that she was let go. I just don't. Because I think that if you remember me talking about this yesterday when I was going over Aiden's interview with Ronnie, I remember saying that somebody didn't stand up and go, hey, man, like, no, this is not what we're supposed to be doing here. This is what we're supposed to be doing here. You know, this is all wrong, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't anybody speak up? Why wasn't anybody dead set on this? Why wasn't anybody loud about this? And the truth is they watched the jury and picked the people who were most likely to do this and dismissed them. So technically, that would be jury tampering. But as Alan Jackson said, there's no proof of this. You can't just assume. I mean, I can just assume it. I can. He can't, but I can.
We're gone. So is that a query? Absolutely. Have I dismissed it? I'll never dismiss it. Is there anything to do about it? Not so
Nope.
sure.
One of the state troopers who was involved with the Norfolk DA's office and on the periphery of the investigation was also responsible for the jury.
Woo!
Right. He wasn't that far on the periphery of the investigation. He was involved in the investigation. He was a direct supervisor over the individual.
Okay, so this is the first time that I'm hearing that confirmed. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, Aiden is batting fucking 500, bro. Like, straight up. Because this was the one thing that I never saw actual receipts for that Aiden claimed. And I believed it because Aiden's credibility is good with me. You know what I mean? Aiden's credibility has always been good with me. So, and now more than ever. So, exactly, Lawferio. No coincidences. Exactly. It was an exaggeration. Calm down. I did that deliberate. Relax. Jesus. People who fucking eat, breathe, and sleep baseball, dude. Calm down. So Aiden's just, yeah, like Aiden is 10 for 10. How's that, Jeff Williams? Is that better? 10 for 10 now? Oh, it's 1,000. Okay, sorry. Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he's 10 for 10. 10 for 10. That's it. Like, that was the one thing I never saw receipts for. And I was like, yes, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I got confused. You guys can fucking blow me, okay? And you know what's the best fuck you to all of you fucking assholes right now sitting there making a big deal out of that little baseball mistake is I'm rocking your team's gear all over me. I'm fucking draped in it like fucking Costanza in velvet, bitches. Drink that shit in. Enjoy it. That must chip your ass, Jeff Williams. So anyway, yes. Now, yeah, Aiden, that's it. Alan Jackson just confirmed that the juror Fanning, this trooper Fanning, excuse me, Trooper Fanning was in charge of the jury who was directly involved in the investigation. How in the fuck is that ethical? In what world is that ethical? That makes absolutely no sense.
Individuals that were testifying and about whom we had leveled some very, very serious claims and ended up proving those claims during the course of direct and cross-examination and presentation of our case. That person, that supervisor, we found out well into the trial. As a matter of fact, at the end of the trial, we found out is the very person who was governing the jurors. That's a question that should be raised. That is an issue that should be teased out. Should never, ever happen. That is the very definition of a conflict of interest.
Is that standard in Massachusetts for just the DA's office to assign whoever they want to go be the sort of,
supervisor
of the jury? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it standard in Massachusetts? I hope not. I've never seen that in my life. But if I had a nickel for every time I said I've never seen this in my life as it pertains to the Massachusetts justice system, the criminal justice system, I'd have a lot of nickels. I've never seen that happen. It should never have happened. It's abhorrent to the system of justice in which we work. Those kinds of conflicts of interest they just can't stand. But they did, and we weren't even told about it. I mean, that was one of the most galling parts of that revelation is that wait, this has been happening under our nose the entire trial,
right?
And I'm just now finding out about it. We would have made hay about it as soon as we found out, and we did. But it was 10 minutes.
Right there, dude. Like this, they didn't even fucking know. That is crazy. Like they didn't even fucking know this. So obviously that question's going to come up. Like, well, why didn't they file a motion objecting to this? Right? Well, there's your answer. They didn't fucking know. They had no idea that Fanning, who was directly involved in the Sandra Birchmore investigation that got ruled a suicide and later there's an arrest for her murder, even though everyone already knew she was murdered. Everyone already knew it. Cherry, I'm going to time you out if you tell me to fucking quit yelling one more fucking time. I might even yell even goddamn louder. Okay? And they don't care about that shit here. Okay? Let me explain something to you. Okay? This isn't like fucking Limey country where people with their soccer teams get all fucking upset and they fucking stab each other over fucking teams losing and shit. They don't do that shit here. Well, maybe in Boston. Never mind. I think that does kind of happen. Does that happen in Boston? Are you fucking people that crazy when it comes to your teams? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe in Boston. If there's a town, it's Boston. But yeah. I'm gonna rename Clubber the Curse of the Bambino just to say fuck you to you all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm over it now. So yeah, like think about that shit. This jury was overseen by Trooper Fanning, who was directly involved in the investigation. That's already a conflict of interest, and he's already suspect of being dirty because he was involved in 2 investigations that the rest of us are always talking about is riddled with corruption. And I'm supposed to question whether or not Judge Bev is corrupt. Judge Bev, you dirty girl. You dirty.
10 minutes before I was about to stand up and close the case.
Some of the things that Michael Proctor said about you were objectively vicious. What was it like to be there in court and listen to all those texts?
Another relief. So many moments in court were a relief to me because I've known these things in some cases for years and had to keep it amongst our inner circle. Nothing Michael Proctor texted and admitted out loud in court about me would ever offend me. I'm proud of my overcoming of health crises. Proctor was just letting the public know what I've known about Michael Proctor, who he really is. And it's just luck that, as I know it, Michael Proctor doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah, I got to
but
be honest. I'm wondering why, if he's saying that he knew 10 minutes prior, like even still, I would have been like, hold on a second. I have a major objection. And I don't know if that's how the law works. I'm just thinking in theory here. I don't know if he could have. I don't know if it was legally too late for him to say anything. But, to me, 10 minutes is, that's a lifetime to be able to put that on the record. Like, Your Honor, I've been made aware that one of the troopers involved. Now, here's the thing. Maybe it came up in sidebar. I just thought of that. That's a possibility. Probably even a likelihood that it came up in sidebar. Maybe. And we just don't know about it because it was in sidebar. But I would imagine that Alan Jackson probably said something about it and it was just like blown off. And he has to be careful because he can't publicly slam Judge Beverly Cannoni. I can. But nobody on Karen Reed's camp can do that because she's the gatekeeper. This is the craziest shit in the world.
Those text messages, as vile as they are, I think are the least of his offenses.
Alan, you could have had Michael Proctor read 1 or 2 of the text. You spent hours having him read those out loud. I'm sure that was done by design.
It was. Everything that we did in that cross-examination of Michael Proctor was done by design. I wanted to make sure that I had an audience of 12 folks, an undefined 12 folks sitting in that jury box who were going to make a judgment about, not just about Karen Reed, they were going to make a judgment about the prosecution and about the investigating officer in charge of the prosecution or in charge of the investigation. They needed to see and hear a full panoply of who this person really is and get down to the fabric of the human being.
I have never been more convinced, and I don't want to dwell on this too much because they've moved on from that point, but I have never been more convinced yet that Fanning absolutely being in charge of the juror notes. Fanning was in charge of the juror notes, dude. Like, now I know it for sure. Fanning was absolutely in charge of the juror notes. And I'm supposed to believe that this dude wasn't feeding this information to the prosecution throughout the trial. And think about it. Think about that for a second. With all of this cheating and nefarious shit that the prosecution was doing, the fix was in, all of this happening, they still couldn't convict Karen Reed unanimously. They couldn't get a unanimous guilty verdict. Think about that. Yeah, that's a good point too, man. I think more time should be spent on how Proctor knew all the things about her health in such a short time. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder who talked. I mean, he probably got that information from the O'Keefes. I would imagine. My first guess would be the O'Keefe shared that information. They would be the only people that would have that kind of that type of knowledge. That type of intimate knowledge of Karen Read's health to be able to share with law enforcement.
About the prosecution and about the investigating officer in charge of the prosecution or in charge of the investigation. They needed to see and hear a full panoply of who this person really is and get down to the fabric of the human being. That's the only way they could assess the veracity of the entire investigation. As goes the investigating officer, goes the investigation.
Right.
And the prosecution, the Commonwealth wanted to hide that. They wanted to mask it. They didn't want to give those data over to us. They didn't want to give those texts to us. They tried mightily in front of the court to get those suppressed. Why? Because as goes the investigator, goes the prosecution.
Right.
The texts were vile. They were disgusting. They were not just, as Michael Proctor tried to slough them off, regrettable. Regrettable, Mr. Proctor? Seriously? That's the best you can come up with in terms of what the things that you're saying and the bias that you're showing about a criminal defendant and accused who has yet to be convicted of anything? That's the best you can say is it's regrettable. It's far beyond regrettable. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. That man should not ever carry a badge. Nope. That man should not ever carry a gun. He should never have any authority over the community members ever again.
Are you surprised that he's been fighting for his job?
Yeah. What I think he should probably do is put his tail between his legs and get out of the jurisdiction and go find some other line of work, someplace where he can't hurt people.
Absolutely.
How will Michael Proctor play in the retrial?
Oh, he's going to play.
He shouldn't even be fucking coaching kids t-ball, bro. Michael Proctor belongs on a fucking fryer in charge of the fucking fries.
Large in the retrial. They can't. The prosecution, I think, probably wants very badly to take some magic eraser, some pixie dust, and erase Michael Proctor from the minds of the public, and certainly not from the minds of the new jury who's going to come in and assess this case. They're not going to be able to do it, not as long as we're breathing. Michael Proctor is going to be a part of this case, whether he likes it or not.
Nice.
Because they don't necessarily have to call him, but obviously you have a right to call him as a witness.
Correct. And we will, if they don't call him, we will.
That's it right there, folks. That is absolutely beautiful. Like, Michael Proctor's bullshit. Michael Proctor is not going away from this second trial. The jury is gonna hear what this dude has done. The jury is gonna hear how in the fuck. I mean, think about that shit. They're trying to keep the prosecution is trying to basically omit Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, from the prosecution. And Alan Jackson just explained as simply as it could be explained. Like, how do you expect to prosecute a case? I've been saying that forever. How the fuck do you expect to prosecute a case without the lead investigator? That is your case. That's your case. That's your case. So so you want to try to make this dude just go away, but the defense is like, no, we can call any witness we fucking want. That jury is gonna hear what this dude did. That jury is gonna hear those text messages. That jury is gonna know how this guy conducted this faulty investigation, whether the prosecution wants it or not. It's gonna happen.
We're not going to allow the Commonwealth to hide the truth from the last jury or this upcoming jury.
He's touched everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
There's no part of the case that he hasn't affected.
Right.
No part of the case that he hasn't affected. He was in charge of the entire investigation. The personality and the character of the investigation is the personality and the character of Michael Proctor. They're
Boom.
one and the same. And we'll make sure
Absolutely.
that that's disclosed to the jury.
The feds devoted a lot of time and resources investigating what happened here. We are now years.
Nan's killing me in the chat right now. Yeah. Michael here is very interested in pursuing a career in the custodial arts. So how does one become a janitor? Oh my God.
years removed from that, and there's been no action taken. Why is that?
Well, I don't know that there's been no action taken. We don't know about any action taken. There's lots of, it's like
But no indictments.
no indictments, but it's like looking at a duck on water, Ted. The duck is very still, it's very stable, but underneath the little flippers are going crazy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's happening just beneath the surface. I don't know what's happening. I'm not privy to what the federal investigation is actually, where it's going or how far it's led to this point. I do know that they were seminal in providing us with information. And when I say us, it's important to note, providing both sides. They didn't pick a side or choose a side in this. They provided everything that they decided was disclosable. They provided to both sides. The Commonwealth decided they didn't want to use it. As a matter of fact, tried mightily to keep us from using it. Thank goodness cooler heads prevailed, and we were able to utilize much of what their investigation or what their disclosure consisted of. But if it hadn't been for them, the Commonwealth had been hiding evidence from us for years. And it wasn't until the federal investigation and revelation came to pass
Literally
that we actually
years.
sort of were able to look behind the curtain, which is where we should have been looking in the first place. So it was central to our presentation of our defense.
Leah Foley will be the third U.S. attorney, as far as we know, who will at least touch this case.
Right.
Do you expect that having a new head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston will change anything?
I don't know. I have been incredibly impressed with the U.S. Attorney's Office in terms of the leadership under Ms. Foley's predecessors. Joshua Levy was central in making certain decisions about what to disclose to us, where the investigation was going. Again, I don't know what the full parameters of the investigation are, but I can say that I was very, very happy with what they did and what they disclosed, trying to get the truth out previously, and I hope Ms. Foley does the same thing. I'm looking forward to her continuing the investigation. I hope she does.
When you look at the scope of the federal investigation and all the things that were done, you received 3,000 pages from that investigation. Are there other things that might have been done or have been done that you think that should also be turned over or could be turned over?
I don't know. Again, Ted, we're sort of operating a little bit in the blind because I don't know what the full contours of the federal investigation consist of. So it's not like I can say, oh, well, they did this, but I don't have that information. I don't know what this is. The only thing that I have is the information that they provided to both sides. And then we culled through it to decide, oh, okay, is this relevant to our case? And nearly every page of it was highly, highly relevant material.
One of the things that the federal government did was hire this outside accident reconstruction team who
What's
would
up,
have no
Mazda?
vested interest in the outcome of this case. How important was those two accident reconstructionists coming in saying no way, no how?
I cannot describe the gravity of those two witnesses. First of all, they were unassailable in terms of their credibility and their credentials. There was nobody who testified that was more credentialed to talk about the issues that were attendant to them than those two gentlemen, those two doctors, PhDs. The fact that we didn't hire them, they can't be considered hired guns by the prosecution. The fact that the Commonwealth didn't even know their name. They were completely independent third parties who did not know Karen Read or this case, and they did not know that their assessment was attendant to Karen Read or this case. Central to their testimony, completely credible. I can't describe the gravity of those two witnesses and the impact that it had on the trial and getting to the truth. And what they said echoed everything that we had been learning during the course of our investigation on the defense side, which is that car was not damaged by hitting a human body. It did not hit a person. And John O'Keefe was not injured by being hit by a vehicle. No way, no how. It didn't happen. As one of the witnesses testified, the physics don't lie. The science doesn't lie. The car did not make contact with John O'Keefe. She didn't do this.
Karen, when
That's
the
it.
ARCA information came in that document dump, I guess, what was your emotion kind of reading what they decided?
I didn't really know the details of it until trial because I did not have the same access to those materials that the attorneys did because of the federal protective order. It was another moment, and there's been so many, that I realized, to put it mildly, how underhanded this prosecution is, that a district attorney can be privy to that accident reconstruction report and continue to pursue this case and not call Doctors Wolf and Rentschler.
Right.
Right. They have one job to do. They have one job to do, to seek the truth.
Right. To act in the interest of justice, to seek the truth in order to act in the interest of justice. That is the prosecution's duty. That is the Commonwealth's duty. And they not only failed to do it, they avoided it. They actively avoided it. And Karen is making an excellent point here. Karen is making an excellent point here. Like, they had the same access. It's not like the defense, were, hobnobbing with Josh Levy, and Josh Levy was like, "Hey, Alan, I got something for you here, buddy." No, the prosecution had access to the same information that the defense did. And with that information, that alone right there should be enough to convince any common sense person that the prosecution is just looking to nail Karen Read to the wall. They're not looking to get justice for anyone. They are looking to nail Karen Read to the wall by any means necessary. They're hiding evidence. They're keeping evidence from the defense that Brady law dictates that they are required to share with the defense, and they've been doing it for 3 years. Motion to compel after motion to compel after motion to compel after motion to compel. And then, what's up, buddy? You all right? And then the 3,100-page document becomes available to not just the defense, but the prosecution. That should have been an eye-opener. That should have been like, okay, wait a second. We've got the wrong person. We've got to start from scratch here. We're going to have to take the L and let the public know, hey, we got the wrong person, but we are going to be doing everything that we can to get justice for Boston police officer John O'Keefe. That should have been Michael Morrissey. That should have been a press conference held by Michael Morrissey to the public once they dismissed the charges. That should have happened, but it didn't. Or at least call them to the stand, as they just stated. Call them to the stand. Have them testify. If they're there to get to the truth, why wouldn't you use them as your witness? Why does the defense have to do it? And why did Judge Bev keep the fact that the FBI hired them and that they were independent witnesses? Why did Judge Bev keep that from the jury? There's no ethical reason. There's no reason that you could justify that to me and then tell me that Judge Beverly Cannone isn't corrupt. It's not possible. You can't tell me that she's acting in the interest of justice. You can't.
They had this information in front of them. As Karen just said, why wouldn't they call them?
Right.
They should have called them. Their only job is to seek the truth, not to seek a conviction. And the truth is, the physics don't lie. The car didn't hit John. He wasn't killed by being hit by a car. And they not only did they not seek that truth, they tried to suppress it.
And
They tried to suppress it.
their version of events was almost it was laughable. It was laughable. It was illogical. It just did. The body just landed. The phone just landed. A side swipe with no bruises. It's not as if they had qualified, credentialed, advanced educated experts to offer another version of events. They didn't have that, and they chose to ignore that, and they chose to present to the court and to the public in a hearing that those federal materials, 3,000 pages, were 90 to 95% consistent with their theory of the case. The theory of the case is a car accident. The
Right.
federal materials included a report that said there wasn't a car accident. That's the case.
That's it.
That's 95% of the case. And it was inconsistent. It wasn't just inconsistent. It was diametrically opposed to the Commonwealth's theory of the case or lie of the case.
On the
Lie
morning
of the
29th,
case. Get 'em, Karen.
2022,
Get
you
'em.
said it was possible you might have hit John. How could that even be in the realm if you saw him going into the house?
Because it never crossed my mind that the people we were with, middle-aged adults with children, some of the children were with us that night at the bar. It did not cross my mind for several days that they did this to John, that John was treated like a piece of garbage. These were women and men, some I knew better than others, that I knew to be normal people. And I went through every possibility. He was near the road and he was dying. And I didn't think he was purposely put in that place.
In your opinion, there have been a few names that have surfaced in this third-party culpability
Here we go.
theory. Who do you think, if John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it's not for
Oh man, that was awesome. That is some good lawyering and client management right there. Right there. That is just good lawyering and client management right there. If I ever saw it. Alan Jackson was so quick. He looked right at her and said, "We don't know." That means that's going to be your answer. We don't know. And look at Karen's face right there. She wants to say who she thinks it was. She wants to say. Now, I honestly don't know. When I say I don't know, I honestly don't know. All I'm saying is Higgins had the motive. I followed a lot of cases. Higgins had the motive, but I can't say definitively that any evidence dictates that he actually struck John O'Keefe in any way, that he actually carried John O'Keefe out to the lawn. I don't know. I don't know who struck the fatal blow to John O'Keefe's head. I don't know. But the evidence dictates that that Brian Higgins had the motive.
for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible for that, for the killing of John. But who it was specifically, others know, and they're not talking.
Right.
What is the most important piece of evidence that exists in this case that people could look at and say, hey, there's no way that she could have done this? Is there one thing?
To me, there is. That the only physical evidence connecting me to where John's body was found, which I will not call the crime scene, the only physical evidence, pieces of plastic taillight, were not found until after the state police had possession of that very taillight.
There you go.
And when you couple that, you're looking for one thing. When you couple that with the testimony of the expert,
And there it is right there. Like, they didn't find any taillight. With the leaf blower and all that bullshit that took place, they didn't find any pieces of taillight. Then they tow Karen's car. It's raining taillight pieces. 45 fucking pieces. It's raining taillight fragments all over 34 Fairview. Amazing. Amazing.
experts, the third party, absolutely qualified experts, that there was no car accident. The car did not hit John, and John was not hit by a car.
Period.
the
Full
taillight.
stop.
The taillight pieces, when they were found and when your car was taken, to you, that is the most crucial element of your defense.
It's closely followed by other evidence, but to me, yes.
You've had a private investigator from the start. Is that private investigator still running down tips, and will we see any new revelations at the retrial?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have not slowed down our investigation one iota. So I expect, I'm not at liberty to say exactly what might be revealed that's new and different in the second trial, but I expect there will be some new information that comes from our investigation as well.
People send you tips?
All the time. All the time. Yeah, the harder part is not getting the tips. The harder part is separating the wheat from the chaff.
Mm-hmm.
What tips are valuable enough to sort of chase down, and which just seem like we'd be chasing our tail. But no, we get tips every single day. The public is very, very interested in getting to the truth of what actually happened to John.
That's right.
Karen, it's been reported that your defense is running about $5 million. Is that correct? And how do you pay for that?
Give or take a few million. That's a back of the envelope calculation, and it's certainly no pressure put on me in any way by my attorneys. The longer this goes, the harder they work, the more time goes into it.
How do you pay for that?
Right now, I'm paying for everything entirely on the charity of supporters. People I know, former colleagues, people, many, thousands of people I don't know.
Now, to piggyback off of that statement, pinned to the top of the chat, the links that are pinned to the top of the chat, every bit of that money goes to Karen Read and her defense fund. Every bit of it. So if you're feeling generous, please help her out as much as you can.
Liquidated my retirement. I've sold my home, and everything else is from supporters, and it's not a small number. It's approaching $750,000, and I hope the supporters and the donors know that this is their defense. They're marshaling this. I could early, but it's been 3 years. I've not had income. I had 2 incomes, now I have none. So I'm just incredibly grateful and appreciative. And it was funny when we launched the defense fund, which Alan helped me do logistically through his firm. I was thanking donors the early days, anything sizable or even small ones, because it's not the nominal amount. It's what people can afford or their intention, and especially from strangers. And I was thanking people, and now I can't, but I just want them to know I see them all, my family members, my close friends see them, and other supporters see. Our Defense Fund page has kind of become its own social media that people look to see what other parts of this country are people closely following and donating to this defense. So it's keeping us going financially, of course, but also emotionally.
It's important to know, not to interrupt, Ted, but it's important to know that although the attorney time involved is in the multi-million-dollar range, probably $6 million between Mr. Yannetti, myself, Ms. Little, other lawyers who have worked on the case, other individuals, investigators, et cetera. Most of us, all of the lawyers, are not getting paid that. We have not taken that money. We're not going to take that money. That's the value that that has amassed of the legal services that's been required to mount this defense. But we're not taking the money because she doesn't have the money. And the reason that David Yannetti is doing this, the reason that I'm doing this, the reason that Liza Little is doing this, the reason that Marty Weinberg and Bob Alessi and others are doing this is because it's the right thing to do. None of us are willing to stand by and watch her get railroaded or steamrolled by the power of the government when she did not do this. So we have all decided as a team, we will be here for as long as it takes, and we will fight as hard as it takes to make sure that the truth comes out.
You said you received $750,000 roughly.
So think about that. Think about that. They're like, we're here for the long haul. We're here for the long haul. We're not even going to take that money until it's all there. Like we need money for certain expenses. And that's where that money is going to, because her defense costs money at right there and then. The defense that she is presenting, what's required to literally fight City Hall. Okay. Bigger than City Hall, people, bigger than City Hall. You know how they say you can't fight City Hall? Karen's fighting bigger than City Hall. Karen's fighting the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They are trying to railroad her. This is crazy. And yes, I I was made aware of this at that dinner. I just didn't say anything because I didn't know what I was allowed to say or what I wasn't. So he just said it publicly. So cool. I'm glad that's out. But yeah, I didn't know. But yeah, that's fucking great. But yeah, that's where all your money's going to. Anything that you donate to Karen Read is going to necessary expenses in order to effectively defend herself against an entire local government.
In donations, who would we be most surprised to hear who's donated to you?
I wouldn't disclose that to you, but some well-known, maybe one of the most well-known names at my former employer. But as I said, that means just as much to me as someone from Alabama who's given me $25 from her last paycheck.
Does that person's name start with an A?
No, he was, it's a he. And just a little more directly involved.
That's just good. That's just good reporting. He's just going to keep asking until,
Yeah.
until he figures it out.
Abby certainly has the money.
I wish, Ted, I wish. And that's not for lack of trying on my part.
The largest group of people who've donated to you are your former coworkers.
Not in volume of donors, but in proportion of the actual amount donated. Yeah, about half has come from former colleagues to whom I'm incredibly grateful. And it's kind of taken the sting out of no longer being a part of that world and seeing them every day and doing.
See, that's very telling as well. Think about that for a second. That's very telling as well. Because no, not Aiden. Stop it. That's Aiden never worked with Karen Reed. So it's very telling that everyone in Karen Reed's life, from her family to her former co-workers, all support her. The only people that don't, okay? The only people that don't, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's the truth. The only people that don't support her are the O'Keefes and the few crackhead idiots that act like they're supporting them when they're not. They're just using this as some sort of way to justify their hatred towards Turtle Boy. But that should absolutely tell you something. There's no, we're not talking about coworkers who are like, oh man, geez, she's accused of killing a cop, so nope. These are people who are like, what's happening to you is fucked up, and we got your back. We're going to help you in any way that we can because we see what's going on here, and it's wrong. It's just plain wrong. Because I know if I got accused of killing a cop, dude, like people I know that I've been cool with most of my life would be like, damn, I knew Will was fucked up, but I didn't know he was that fucked up. And then they'd be like, fuck that guy. They totally would. They'd be like, fuck that guy. There'd be like a handful of people, not even a handful of people. People I could count on one hand that might be like, nope, I got your back, dude. Like, I know you couldn't be capable of that. That's crazy. Like, that tells you how much the evidence dictates her innocence. Because we're talking about coworkers. We're not talking about best homies. We're talking about coworkers. Kayla Jones, member for 13 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Well, Jason Smith, that's great and all, buddy, but like if they're trying to if they're trying to make it a point to not reveal anybody's name in this interview, like please don't blast the name in the chat. You know what I mean? Like kind of read the room. Come on, guys. I mean, it's not that big a deal because it's not that big a deal because she did say, no, it's not that person. It's a guy, but still, like we don't need to be doing all that.
Doing what I love to do, that I'm still connected, and it's a different life that I have now and a different purpose, and they're contributing to it.
And it's interesting the perception that she's got this multi-million-dollar defense and this juggernaut defense. It's just not correct. It's not accurate. Yes, she has a
It's
very
all right, Jason.
valuable
I'm just
defense
messing with you,
working on
man.
her behalf. But the money that the donors and the public are providing, the money that that's being given to the defense fund is paying for the investigators, the expert witnesses, travel for the experts, hotels for the people are flying in from all over the country, and we have to account for that, a massive amount of logistics, getting people here so that they can testify, getting people here so that they can do the research. If we need to use research attorneys or other staff, that's what that's paying for. It's not paying for legal fees. None of us are taking legal fees.
Amazing.
For the retrial,
Wow.
you're facing a new special prosecutor. Who would you rather face? Is it Adam Lally, who we saw in the first trial, or is it Hank Brennan?
I don't care who I face. I have the truth.
I love that shit. She doesn't give a fuck. Bring anybody, dude. Carl is saying, will the public ever know the things Karen and the Dream Team know about the McAlberts and the Commonwealth? I mean, I think anything that's relevant is going to come out in their defense during trial. So, or at least, yeah, most things. Because I learned talking to Alan Jackson, I learned that there are certain things that they didn't bring up in the last trial, and I had to ask them why. And he explained in a way that you know, reminded me of why they're the lawyers and I'm not. You know, I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense, and I would have never even thought of it. Never. So, but when he explained it, I was like, absolutely, I totally get that. I totally get that. So I think that we'll hear. I think that we will find out anything that's relevant about the McAlberts to her case. We will hear. And then once this is all over, I hope Karen writes a book because I'm going to buy it. I hope she does.
Truth. I have the best attorneys that money is not paying for. Do your worst.
What was your take on how the DA's office performed at the first trial?
How they performed, it felt like they just wore the jury down. It felt like a lot of repetition. I don't think the jurors.
Right. Again, the fix was in, dude. They were just wearing the jury down. This is Karen Reed's theory as to why, as to what the strategy was of, or the performance of Adam Lally and the prosecution, the Commonwealth. They were wearing the jury down, and it worked. It worked because we heard Ronnie say straight up. We heard Ronnie say, we all just wanted to go home. We all just wanted to go home. And we were looking at things as distractors, you know, distractors. And so, you know, we dismissed that stuff as distractors, and we just wanted to go home. We were tired. We wanted to get back to our lives.
Saw the lack of injuries to John's body or his right arm for, I want to say it was week 5, but maybe it just felt like week 5 and it was week 3. They were clearly, and I understand why, belaboring insignificant points and barely touching on the biggest parts of the evidence.
Questions that they couldn't answer. They just decided to, the prosecution had a design. They were just going to try the case by volume instead of by validity.
Put it all out there.
Put everything out there, and the inconvenient facts that show that John O'Keefe was not killed by Karen Reed would just get buried somewhere in the middle. Our job was to tease that out, which we did. Doesn't matter if they try to do it again. We'll do the same thing. Our job is to make sure that the truth gets out there.
I think ask your parents the same question. If you're framed, someone's got to run that, direct that. Who is that person?
I think you know who that person is.
Yeah.
I think there's
Ted Daniel knows exactly who that person is, just like, you know, we all know who that person is. Michael Morrissey is the Bill Belichick of it. And Michael Proctor was the Tom Brady of it. Now, as far as the and that is the frame up. That's the frame up involving law enforcement. And I see a lot of people saying Jen McCabe. Yeah. I agree. Jen McCabe is actually the I think that she is the brains behind it. I think it was her conception. That's my opinion. I believe that Jen McCabe absolutely conceived this because she's the one that allegedly heard Karen Read say, "Did I hit him? Did I hit him?" Changed it to, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." And then went and told everybody, "Hey, fuck this tow truck driver or fuck this snowplow guy. We could pin it on her. Pin it on the girl." Because she's not even sure what she actually thinks that she might have hit him. So if we convince her that she hit him, and then we plant some taillight around or whatever and say, yeah, you did it. She'll just plead guilty because she already feels guilty. She feels guilty about something she didn't even do because she thinks she did. Yeah. At this point, I'm making sports references just to annoy you guys, just so you know.
There's people who are enabling, and there's people who are actually moving pieces.
But is your theory that it's people inside that house, 34 Fairview, who sort of called the shots from the beginning, or someone high up in law enforcement?
I don't know the interconnections, the interpersonal relationships among these people. I have a strong personal opinion that what has motivated this persecution of me is power. There were familiarities among players that never should have happened. There's a sleeve of homicide in the Norfolk DA's office, as there is in the other counties of Massachusetts. And yet the person assigned to investigate this case, ostensibly investigate this case, lives a mile down the street from the crime scene. But I believe the players with the most influence are motivated by power and playing God. And they're trying to play God with my life.
Not to protect people.
People are being protected. I don't know if the motivation was actually to protect those people, but it's a byproduct of it. I mean, there are names, and we know those names, that were hidden from me. I only knew who was in that house from the rumor mill, from people I knew in Canton, and it ended up becoming true once we pushed and filed motions and flew the team in. And 2 years later, a year and a half later, we're getting police reports of names of people that were in that house that I did not know about, or they were trying to make sure I didn't know about early in 2022.
And you can't have one without the other. You can't have a motivation to put the case on Karen Read without also being motivated to protect yourself or to protect others that are with you. It would take a real investigation, a true investigation by their own folks to reveal who is part of this. Is there one person that's behind it? I don't think so. My personal opinion. I think it's a combination of folks. But I don't think that we're ever going to see that true investigation because the people that are in power don't want the truth.
Right.
But isn't that what the feds did?
That's ostensibly what the feds did and are continuing to do. I don't know the full contour of what the federal investigation is revealing, but I can certainly say that to care.
Like Ted's slick, dude. And Alan Jackson's onto it because he called him out on it earlier. He's like, he's this guy, he's just being a good reporter. He's just going to keep pushing you until you say something. Like he opened the door, you walked into it. And right there, this is Ted Daniel being a good reporter. Because he thinks Alan Jackson knows more about the federal investigation, or at least he suspects that he might. And so he's exploring that. And he's like, well, what about the feds? And Alan Jackson already said, I don't know what's going on with the federal investigation. So he's hoping that he'll slip and say something involving the federal investigation. But Alan Jackson doesn't know what's going on with the federal investigation. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on with the federal investigation. When there's a federal investigation going on, nobody fucking knows what's going on with that shit. Like the feds are so close to the vest with their investigations. It's not even funny, dude. Like dude. Yeah. The feds, like, they are so close to the vest with their shit. It's crazy. It's just plain crazy. So, I don't believe that Alan Jackson actually knows the details of the investigation, but and I don't think that Ted Daniel actually thinks that he knows, but he being a good reporter, he's entertaining the possibility that he might, and so he slipped that in there just to see what Alan Jackson would say.
To Karen's point, there were people that were never disclosed to us in any reports being in that home that weren't revealed until the federal investigators got involved, and some folks started getting cornered. And they realized, oh, hang on, I can't suppress this anymore. There are reasons why I have to now reveal this truth. And then ultimately it was revealed. Why is that? Why were folks being hidden from us in police reports, et cetera, as being in the house, as being pertinent to this investigation? They didn't do anything. Who the hell cares?
Do we know who all those people are now?
Now
Were they
we
all
do.
part of the first
We
trial?
think we do.
Yeah, at least we think we do.
And by the way, Ted, I think it's probably half of the people that were in 34 Fairview, half of what we think the total number is, were interviewed for the first time with their defense attorneys, with their criminal defense attorneys. What a luxury.
Right.
What a luxury. Some were interviewed in the first week of this case, the week following John's murder, in their attorneys' homes. Others were interviewed the fall of 2023 in their defense attorneys' offices.
Wow.
Convenient, and what a luxury.
And I've never seen that before either. We're talking earlier about things that are anomalous, an anomaly about this case. I've never seen that before.
fuck,
Where, like,
dude?
the entire panoply of eyewitnesses, supposedly eyewitnesses for the government, they'll lawyer up immediately. They're all interviewed with lawyers sitting there. Why? If
Right.
you're just telling the truth, what do you need to lawyer up for?
Right.
Do you think it's just because of the exposure of this case, though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's self-preservation.
Will you bring any new witnesses to the retrial? Will we see anyone new at the retrial from your side?
I think a lot of that depends on what we get from the Commonwealth. We're still waiting to get the full bucket of information that the Commonwealth is amassing for the second trial. But as soon as they let us know what their witness list looks like, then that will dictate in no small part what our witness list is going to look like. But I fully expect there will be
They're in
some
the
new
bullpen.
witnesses. Yeah, we're not waiting on that. We're pretty good at
Rachel Johnson, no, Carrie Roberts was not at 34 Fairview. Or at least not that night.
figuring out that we can telegraph their punches. So we have not been sitting on our hands. I can put it that way. And will you see new faces? Yes, I expect you will.
We're 3 years removed from
Now,
what happened.
at this point, they knew they were bringing Bettero in. They just hadn't made it public yet. But when this interview was conducted and recorded, they knew that they had brought Bettero on, but it had not been made public yet.
Happened, and you said that you're still receiving important evidence from the state. Why wouldn't have that been turned over for the first trial?
Because it's exculpatory.
That's the question we've been asking. Why wasn't this turned over during the first trial? And you probably will see that question posed in a formal motion that we will have before the court, before the trial starts. Because that's the right question to ask. Why the hell? You've been prosecuting this case for 3 years. We should have had every scrap of information available to you in our possession before the first trial. We have now learned that did not happen.
Karen, can you give me an example of something that you haven't?
Nope.
Well, the CPD video was just publicized. It's in a
Yeah,
public motion.
yeah, this isn't the place to talk about it. We're about to have a hearing on it. So I'd rather just
This isn't going
defer
to
that.
air though till after.
But she'll probably be not deciding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. She might not decide it for weeks or months. So I'd rather defer that question.
You've asked the state's highest court to intervene and essentially dismiss the murder charge. How closely do you follow the decisions that come out every day from that court?
We pretty much take the pulse of that docket every day.
Mhm.
We're very interested. We think that we have nothing but the deepest respect for the SJC. One of the beauties of the appellate court process is that the more elevated the courts go, the less associated they are with sort of the local issues that are attendant to a particular prosecution, a particular courtroom, a particular subject matter. So they're by design supposed to be elevated to a point where they can just look at something antiseptically, look at it legally and factually, and make a decision. We're looking very, very forward to the SJC reviewing, ultimately making a decision about, and then coming out with a holding concerning the acquittal of Karen on count 1 and count 3, the murder charge and the leaving the scene with injury charge. And when they do come out with that holding, my hope is that it's in our favor. It should be in our favor. We deeply believe legally that it will be in Karen's favor, and that will change the complexion of the second trial significantly.
Karen, aside from the DA's office dropping the charges against you, which is not going to happen, is the SJC decision your best hope?
If the SJC rules in our favor, that'd be a big win. But day to day, Ted, we don't plan on that. Hope for the best, expect the worst. One benefit to the SJC, to the appeal, to the affidavits submitted on behalf of the jurors that reached out to Alan and David, is it will hold a magnifying glass over the verdict, over the governing of the jurors, the logistics of it. So that's something we weren't expecting at the first trial. Things that were going on with the jury. We had issues with the verdict slip at the 11th hour. So this has helped us sort that out in advance of the second trial. So it has served a purpose, even if it's not the best outcome with the SJC.
So the jurors that came forward said that they found you not guilty on second-degree murder, but they were stuck on manslaughter. Why is that? Why do you think that there were people in that box that said, no, we believe Karen struck John?
Actually, I believe, and part of this is a little guesswork and filling in blanks, but the jurors that came forward indicated that they weren't actually even stuck on manslaughter. They were stuck on a subordinate charge beneath manslaughter, which means by definition, they were instructed you have to find not guilty on manslaughter to even go to a subordinate charge.
Right.
So as it stands, as we sit here today, the information that we have is that she was acquitted on count 1, acquitted on count 3, acquitted on the upper charge of count 2, and they were stuck on something lesser like a DUI or DUI with injury or something like that.
But that would still mean that there were people in that box who thought Karen hit John.
I think that I don't think so, Ted. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there were people. I think that we dispatched that notion in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic for John, his family. And that there was drinking going on, drinking by Brian Albert, and drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by Chris Albert, everybody.
This is crazy because now we know, thanks to Turtle Boy's interview with Ronnie, that's just not true. That's just not true. Let's listen to what Alan Jackson thinks the jury was thinking. Let's listen to what he says one more time.
Were people in that box who thought Karen hit John?
I think that I don't think so, Ted. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that there were people. I think that we dispatched that notion in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were
right. So here Alan is saying that there's just no way. Like we just hammered that home that there's no way that Karen Read hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle. But we know that to just not be true. Now, what's interesting is there is some truth to what he's saying here, because what he says is he's very careful about, well, it's very specific of how he words this, but I'm not sure if he did this consciously or not. But I have to assume that he is, because he's Alan Jackson and he's a wordsmith, and it's his job to choose his words extremely carefully. But here he says, listen,
action in trial to the nth degree. I don't believe that there were actually jurors in the box who believed that the Commonwealth had proved beyond any and all.
Right. He knows. Like, Ronnie basically confirmed this. Ronnie was like, well, yeah, that nobody actually believed. There was doubt. He explains, Ronnie confirms that everyone had the doubt, but they dismissed the doubt as distractors, which is fucking crazy. So here, Alan Jackson being adorably naive, and I say this with all of the love that I can think of and all of the respect that I could possibly give Alan Jackson, but it is naive, because we're dealing with a very, very, very corrupt system here, and it is naive to think that that jury was not tampered with, because yes, he did his job, and someone who knows their job as well as Alan Jackson does, he's like, there's no way that this jury thought beyond a reasonable doubt that Karen Read hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle. There's no way that anybody thought that. We hammered that shit home. There's no way that beyond a reasonable doubt they believe that. But the thing is it doesn't matter. We found out through Turtle Boy's interview with Ronnie that they dismissed all the reasonable doubt. All of the reasonable doubt was dismissed as distractors.
All reasonable doubt that she struck John with her car. I think what they thought was, there is a tragic situation, a tragic outcome. A man lost his life, and that is tragic. It's deeply tragic for John, his family.
And Ronnie confirmed this too, but...
And that there was drinking going on. Drinking by Brian Albert, drinking by Brian Higgins, drinking by...
See, again, he gave this jury way too much credit. Right there. Because he's talking about there's all this drinking going on by all these other people. We didn't hear Ronnie acknowledge the fact that all of these people were drinking at all, because in Turtle Boy's chat, so many people were going, dude, everybody was fucking drinking. He was going, the facts is that her car was damaged and she was drinking and a guy ended up dead. And that's what they based their decision on. That's what Ronnie straight up said. So, I mean, it's so crazy, because here Alan Jackson is like, he's so sure of his job. And that's more reason for me to think that this jury was tampered with. Because he knows his job so well that there's no way if I explain this shit and I prove beyond a reasonable doubt, or at least I present something that would create doubt. No fucking way it couldn't create doubt, such as the ARCA experts, such as the taillight situation and all the facts that we know about the taillight. All of this is doubt, all of it. So Alan Jackson is thinking there's no fucking way that these people would think that beyond a reasonable doubt, Karen Read struck John O'Keefe with her vehicle. There's no way they could. But he underestimated he underestimated what was taking place in that jury deliberation. He absolutely underestimated it. Because whatever was all of this corruption somehow infected that jury pool. And common sense to me dictates that it starts with Bev to the foreman to the jury pool. Period. That's it. That's simple. Bev, foreman, jury pool. Boom. Foreman going, hey, just distractors. Foreman going, no, we don't need to specify the 3 separate charges. We don't need to focus. No. We'll just, it'll just be one thing. I'm going to write this note. And then, hey, shouldn't we, when you put in that note, shouldn't we specify that we're having trouble with the 3, there's 2 of the charges, not all of them. Like we're all unanimous that the murder charge, no good. No. We don't need to focus on that. I got this. I'll write the note to the judge and that'll be it. And everybody trusting the foreman and wanting to fucking go home, we're like, okay, cool. Right? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not criticizing Alan Jackson here. I'm on his side. Because poor Alan Jackson assumes that the jury is his that's his one piece of leverage right there. If I can get this jury, if I can just make this jury go, I don't know about that, then we're good. And he did an excellent job doing that. He did an excellent job. The entire team did an excellent job. Karen did an excellent job of doing this. Everybody collectively on Karen Read's defense team did an excellent job of creating enough doubt, more than enough doubt, into those jurors' minds. But for some reason, it didn't matter. Because people still voted guilty on the other 2 counts. People still voted guilty, saying that Karen Read actually struck John O'Keefe with her vehicle, but didn't mean to do it. Based on fucking nothing. Based on nothing but the fact that she was sitting there on trial. That's it. And now we know from Alan Jackson's mouth, confirming Turtle Boy's reporting, that Fanning was in charge of the jury. This is crazy. Wasn't Fanning like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not too well versed on the Sandra Birchmore case, but wasn't he the lead investigator in her case? I know he was one of, but wasn't he the lead? I could be wrong. I'm not sure. And then the foreman is an ex-cop too. No, Bev didn't say all or none. The foreman did. The foreman did, according to Ronnie. And Fanning was in Proctor's text chain. Thank you, Mizzy, for clearing that up. Dude, this guy was in charge of the jury. It's crazy.
Chris Albert, everybody, including Karen Read. And she's the one on trial. Given the fact that there was drinking going on and someone lost their life, I think that there were certain people on the jury who just decided, I don't want to say not guilty across the board. Let's find something lesser to see if we can do something to close that loop for John O'Keefe. I don't think it had really intellectually anything to do with Karen Read actually striking John O'Keefe.
Okay.
Ken, would you like to see
Great
this
point.
case tried somewhere else? Moved out?
Because he's
of
not
Norfolk
wrong
County?
there. He's not wrong there, because I think that was more or less Ronnie's mindset. And I think that's fair to assume as far as at least some of the jurors.
County moved out of Massachusetts.
I'm not afraid of this case being tried in Norfolk County. I'm agnostic.
In terms of picking a jury for the next trial, I mean, it was a challenge the first time around. How the heck do you do it this time?
We're not looking for jurors that haven't heard about the case. That's going to be impossible. We're looking for jurors that haven't formed an opinion about the case, which is possible. And they may have, I know there are people in the jury pool that have maybe heard about the case tangentially or know my face or pass by it on the dial, but don't really know the evidence. I'm optimistic that those people exist and they'll hear the evidence and they'll see the truth. But I believe people in Norfolk County,
I mean, you could look it up, but in the context I've always heard it used in, it's a nice way of saying I don't give a fuck. Either way, I'm good. I don't give a shit.
seen it, and I'm not from Norfolk County. I didn't live there. I wasn't raised there, but they're smart and savvy and they're passionate. And when they do hear about the case, most of my supporters, I would guess, are from Norfolk County proportionately, and they're intelligent. They see this for what it is by following the evidence really closely. So I just need jurors that'll do that. I haven't done it yet, but will be willing to do that.
You've spoken at length about this case and the circumstances that have happened. Why not take the stand?
I am not saying that I am not taking the stand. I felt confident in our case, in our defense, because a lot of our case was our cross-examination of these witnesses. And we made a game time decision, and I take the advice of my attorneys, but I'm not afraid of taking the stand. And I'm clearly not afraid of speaking, but I will not assign any genuine, truthful intentions to the prosecution. And I've already seen signs there, they're playing hardball. So we'll weigh the pros and cons, and we'll make another second game time decision.
Do you think that this is personal for the DA's office, that they want a conviction more than probably any conviction they've ever gotten before?
Yes.
And there are certainly people, there are certainly people involved with the prosecution who want exactly that. I would venture to say there's not a single person in the Commonwealth at the prosecution level. I don't think there's a single person at the investigative level with the law enforcement who actually believes in their heart that they can prove this case against Karen beyond any and all reasonable doubt.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's a soul,
not one,
at the prosecution,
not one,
involved with the prosecution that believes that. Not a soul. I believe this is more a trial of a vendetta, of personal animus, of trying to save face. I don't think anybody there, honestly, put him down, strap him to a lie detector. You think you can prove this case beyond any reasonable doubt that Karen Read did this? Nope, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of personal interest and personal animus that has gotten in the way of the prosecution and the Commonwealth doing their duty, their sworn duty, not to prosecute someone unless they believe they can do so to a jury, an objective jury of her peers, beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't think any one of them think that.
Karen, is it your understanding that nobody in the Norfolk DA's office would try this case, and that's why they went to Hank Brennan?
We've heard rumors to that effect, and it was from some of the same people that told us Hank Brennan was being recruited within weeks of the mistrial. So I lend some credence to those rumors, but they're just rumors. And also, no one in the DA's office is trying this case for the retrial.
This case has become your identity. Is that for the rest of your life? Or will one day you just want to put it all behind you?
I don't think I can, even if I wanted to. And I'm okay with that. It's more important, this fight, than anything I've done by a wide margin. And it's made me realize that this happens.
Imagine that. Let me try to put that into a little bit of, more perspective for you. Because she just said this is the most important thing that she's ever done in her entire life. Right? And she's on trial. Her life is on the line here. This is the most important thing that I've ever done in my entire life. This is the most important thing that I've ever done in my entire life, is talk about this case as tenaciously as I have been. As tenaciously as I have been. I can honestly say that. I've never been involved in anything that I feel is more important, because this is not just about Karen Read, as I've explained many, many times. This is about everyone. This is about how, if she's convicted on this, this could set a precedent that could put everyone's rights in danger. And not just in Norfolk County. This could be this case is going to be cited for whatever in the future. Who knows what it'll be cited for? I've never been a part of anything more important. Never. And so imagine what it must be like to be in Karen Read's shoes. I'm just some fucking asshole YouTuber with a big mouth. Imagine what it's like for her.
All the time. And I'm just fortunate enough to be able to fight back. But what's happened to me has happened too easily, too swiftly, with seemingly no checks and balances other than the ones we can bring, that this can't be the first. It can't be the first time. And it's 2025 in Massachusetts, and it's happening right before everyone's eyes. It's hiding in plain sight. So this is a problem that I hope
in plain
I'm
sight
here to address. And even if I'm not, it will be addressed. We're doing it right now. Regardless of the outcome, which will be an acquittal, eyes have been opened. That's why Alan and I are sitting here, is there's interest, and people are evaluating their law enforcement and their elected
Mizzy.
officials and their district attorney.
Nah, Mizzy. Yeah, what you're doing is, no. Can't compare me to what you're doing either. Like, you're doing God's work, that's for sure.
With a more critical eye than they were before. And that's a bigger impact and a purpose that I could have, even if it's been very, very difficult for me and the people that are closest to me.
Something that the prosecution has recently been focused on were calls you made to your mother.
Like, Mizzy should get a fucking sainthood for what she's done in the Sandra Birchmore case.
Overnight. What were those calls about?
Anyone who spent any time with me throughout my life knows I'm incredibly close to my parents. And I was very troubled to put it. You've heard the voicemails. It was a blizzard. There were young children unattended. And John, uncharacteristically, and when I say uncharacteristically, I mean he's never done that before at that hour in those conditions. And I was panicked. I was torn between, did something go wrong, or is he purposely ignoring me and taking advantage of me to go home to the kids while he stay out drinking. And as I do, and do I wish I did it less? Yes, but now I need her more than ever. As I normally would do, I'd reach out to my mother for what do you think's happening? And I, reach out to them every day now that night just, it's like I never woke up from it. So
I think the fact that the prosecution seems to be focusing on those calls and trying to wrap Karen's parents into this just shows a level of desperation.
Exactly, Alan. Exactly, dude.
Shows or suggests that the prosecution understands how thin, paper thin, chiffon thin their case is. They can't prove this case, and so they're just sort of desperately looking to scattershot other information to make innuendo about why would she call her mother. Like, she calls her parents all the time,
Dude.
There's no there.
Like, they're there for every fucking hearing, dude. Both her parents have been at every fucking hearing. And it's somehow suspicious that she would call one of them in crisis. What do I do? I've got 2 kids here that aren't mine, and their father, my boyfriend, is nowhere to be found. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he is. He's not answering his phone. I dropped him off at this place. He never came out. I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's not suspicious. That's the kind of relationship that you would have with 2 parents that, if you're accused of murder, are going to show up to every single fucking hearing for the last 3 years. Brendan sucks so bad. Like, every time I think about Brendan and his little fucking tactics, dude, and his little fucking Weasley little fucking whiny voice, like, I'm just like, fuck this guy. Guy sucks. Fuck that guy.
There doesn't mean that the prosecution isn't going to look and make suggestions about it, but it's a desperate ploy, and there's nothing there.
What
Right.
would surprise me or the people watching this about something that's transpired over the last 3 years?
I don't think so. I think one of the things that we've tried to do on the defense team from the beginning is pull that veil back, pull the curtain back, and show all the warts and blemishes of the Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police Department, the investigative techniques that they used or didn't use, the Commonwealth's prosecution of a case like this. We wanted everybody.
Yeah, like, I always mean to like talk about it after and I forget. So I'm just gonna pause this, and you guys are just gonna have to fucking bear with me for a second here. So Nick Rocco is organizing another dinner. I won't be at this one, I don't think. But he's organizing another dinner that but instead of Alan Jackson, it'll be Karen with Karen's parents. And if you haven't met Karen's parents, you're in for a treat, because they are just the sweetest, kindest, and coolest people like ever. Like, Bill is just like awesome, and Janet is just awesome, and Janet is hilarious. She's just a fun lady, and super, super kind. Like, they're all, yeah, the 2 of them are just so sweet. So if you there's an opportunity to break bread with those 2, I would take advantage of that. I would absolutely take advantage of that. So the dinner giveaway thing is still happening. Nick Rocco, please feel free to continue to drop the link in the chat so people have a chance to well, actually, I think you just donate directly to the fund that I have pinned, right? Oh, okay, the Facebook. Okay. Facebook share. Okay, gotcha. All right. So yeah, click on the link that Nick Rocco is dropping there, and make sure to do whatever that link tells you to do to win a chance to have dinner with 2 of the coolest, kindest people that I have ever had the pleasure of meeting personally, as well as Karen, of course.
Everybody to see everything. And we were pretty successful in that in terms of the presentation in front of the first jury. We intend to do it again in front of the second jury. So the thing that's most shocking
Oh yeah, and
is the full
this time LTL and Mazza will be there, which is awesome. So yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I really wish I was going to that one, man. I'd really love to like hang out with that crowd. I really would. I'm not even trying to lie. Like I would really love to do that. But I don't think I can make this one, even if I was invited.
universe of information that now the community has in front of it. We have gotten call after call after call, email after email, text after text from community members who don't know us, certainly don't know me. I'm from California, saying this kind of thing happened to my family. This kind of thing happened to me. This kind of thing happened to my son. This kind of thing happened to my father, my mother. And nobody would ever look at it. Nobody would believe us. Nobody would listen. Thank God you folks have found the platform to show what actually is happening in our community. That's what has been most surprising. And it's there for everybody to see.
What is your relationship
Let me
with
hear that
Adam?
one more time. I want to hear what Alan says here.
In front of the
Sorry.
CFUs, the Canton Police Department, all of the things
That's transpired over the last 3 years? Surprise me or the people watching this about something that's transpired over the last 3 years?
I don't think so. I think one of the things that we've tried to do on the defense
Yeah.
team from the beginning.
Sorry for rewinding this, guys. It's just that I haven't watched this yet, and I haven't watched this yet, and I can't pay attention to chat and this video at the same time. I'm not Mazza. I can't do that. So I have to hear what Alan's saying here again.
beginning is pull that veil back, pull the curtain back, and show all the warts and blemishes of the Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police Department, the investigative techniques that they used or didn't use, the Commonwealth's prosecution of a case like this. We wanted everybody to see everything. And we were pretty successful in that in terms of the presentation in front of the first jury. We intend to do it again in front of the second jury. So the thing that's most shocking is the full universe of information that now the community has in front of it. We have gotten call after call after call, email after email, text after text from community members who don't know us, certainly don't know me. I'm from California, saying this kind of thing happened to my family. This kind of thing happened to me. This kind of thing happened to my son. This kind of thing happened to my father, my mother. And nobody would ever look at it. Nobody would believe us. Nobody would listen. Thank God you folks have found the platform to show what actually is happening in our community. That's what has been most surprising. And it's there for everybody to see.
What is your relationship with Adam Lally and Hank Brennan? Is it cordial?
There's no relationship.
I mean, you have to deal with them back and forth.
Not her.
Not me.
Okay. Your relationship with Hank Brennan?
Completely professional.
Oh shit, my bad. I'm sorry about that. I was coughing and I muted and I forgot that I was muted. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I've been doing that a lot lately. I apologize. But that shit was fucking hilarious to me. Like, that shit was fucking hilarious to me because they were like, what's your relationship like with Adam Lally? Ted, you gotta love Ted, bro. What's your relationship like with Adam Lally and Hank Brennan? Is it cordial? And Karen's like, there is no relationship. You can tell that she was just kind of like caught off guard by that question. There is no relationship. What the fuck do you mean, dude? She like wanted to I feel like Karen wanted to be like, what? Fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. I don't have to deal with those two guys. That's what I pay this guy for. I don't have to fucking deal with those two guys. And then of course Alan Jackson's like fucking strictly fucking professional, dude. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean, bro? Like, what do you think? We're fucking going and playing golf and talking about the case? Get the fuck out of here. No, fuck. These people are trying to ruin her life. Karen's like, there is no relationship. What do you mean, bro? Talking about? Get out of here, Ted.
Okay.
Cordial, civil, professional. And that's all I expect. If he's going to prosecute this case, the only thing I expect from him is professionalism, which he has given me. It doesn't get, at least with me and with David and with Liza, it doesn't get personal. We deal with what we need to deal with in the courtroom.
Was that the same way with Adam Lau?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. By and large. I disagree vehemently, vigorously with their prosecution of this case. Yeah. They know that. I haven't made that, that's.
Yeah, like that's the epitome of professionalism right there. It's like you're always just professional in the way you talk to each other. But it's like, for now, this is all good, because when this is over, like, I'm going to break off the entire planet in your asshole. That's basically, in theory, because it would be hard for me it would be so hard for me. Like, again, that's just why I could have never been a lawyer. Because that's a big part of being a lawyer. I could have never done that. I wouldn't be able to stop myself from being, dude, like, you know how much of a piece of shit you are for even doing this? Like, how the fuck do you sleep at night? How the fuck do you sleep at night? I wouldn't be able to. That's why he makes the big bucks. That's why Alan Jackson is a big time, dope ass, 30-year veteran Hollywood fucking badass lawyer. I can't do that shit. There's no way I couldn't fucking look Hank Brandon in the face and be like, fuck you. There's no way I couldn't do it. No way. The interesting thing is, though, if I met him today, I'd probably be snarky, but I wouldn't do all that for Karen's sake. For Karen's sake. Seriously. I'd be like, all right, I can't be, I don't want to, like, I'm a bad look for this shit enough as it is on my channel, dude. I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? If I meet the guy, I'm not sure I'd shake his hand, but I definitely wouldn't give him a fucking up close fuck you. I don't think I would be able to do that. I don't think I would do that. But like, yeah. That's how you do it. Like, the way in theory to keep your cool is to just be like, oh, good morning. How are you? Did you have a good weekend? Excellent. But thinking in my head, when this is all over, I'm going to take the earth as a whole, right? And it's round. It's not flat. I'm going to put it in your asshole and I'm going to break it. That's what I'm going to do to you when this is all over. The earth.
That is out there. But in terms of just day-to-day interaction, I expect the highest level of professionalism from them, and they get it from us.
It's business.
It's business.
State police have had people follow your drivers?
Yep. Our drivers have been approached by the state police. They're no longer some are no longer my drivers because of that. I've had very close friends, had their cell phone records subpoenaed for an indictment that never happened. There's
Wow.
there's a lot of attempts to glean more about our team by the state police. There's probably
That's
I
so
wouldn't
fucked
put it
up.
past them to some things going on as I'm sitting here.
Have you ever been followed?
I don't know. My eyes are akimbo all the time. I look at law enforcement differently, more warily. I don't know that I'm being followed. I've been tracked. I mean, I've been tracked on flights. I've been tracked when I've stayed in hotels. This is in.
How do you know you're being tracked?
I know from affidavits from the state police at the Norfolk DA's office when they were investigating me last year. I was with my closest friend trying to get away from Massachusetts. And little did I know at the time, I learned about it afterwards, that they knew what flight I was on. They knew when I landed. They knew when I came back. And it's
Wow.
disturbing. It's invasive and it's desperate.
Getting back to sort of just distilling, what is the one thing in this case that you believe proves your innocence?
John's body, no bruise, 6,000 pound full size SUV.
Yeah, I gotta
bruise on
agree
his
with
body.
Sherry to a certain degree on what she's saying here, because I'm thinking like, I mean, she is out on bail, right? You know, I mean, I didn't even know you could even leave the state when you're on bail. So it would make sense to me. Now, I mean, I don't know if there's any legal precedents to where they can do what they're doing. Maybe there isn't, but it seems to me that they would be tracking and making sure that she doesn't jump bail, so by her leaving, it makes sense to me that they would be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that they would be like, yeah, she got on a plane, she went here, she's coming back. Okay, yeah, she's back. You know what I mean? Just to stay ahead of it. So in case she were to run, but I mean, we all know she's not going to, but to me, that seems like normal law enforcement behavior with someone who is out on bail. And I'm even surprised. Again, I don't really know how it works, but I'm surprised that she's even allowed to get on a plane.
Not a fracture below his head.
The medical examiner did not rule his death a homicide, correct?
Correct.
Was it undetermined?
Yes.
And that doesn't get revisited, correct?
Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to revisit that. I don't think it'll be revisited by her. I mean, she came to the decision she came to the decision of.
Right.
So I don't think she's not gonna. And if she does deviate from that decision, she's gonna have to answer for that, and that will be an incredibly uncomfortable situation. I don't think that will happen, but it's very telling that their own best expert, as it pertains to the physical evidence surrounding John and John's injuries, did not rule this a homicide. And they have the burden of proof. That's one of the galling factors in this entire thing is the Commonwealth knows that their own expert or experts.
Yeah,
will
that
not
makes
support
sense
their
too.
Prosecution of Karen.
Yeah, their own experts don't even. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm going to listen to that one more time in just a second. But yeah, I would imagine that she had to get probably special permission to be able to leave. But even still, if she had to get special permission, now I don't know if she did or not. I really don't know the details of that. I'm just spitballing and just kind of, my mind's wandering. I don't have anybody credible that I can ask how that works right now. So I'm just kind of applying my common sense to speculate here a little bit. But it feels like she would have to get some sort of special permission. And if she got special permission, it would make sense that they would track her. I mean, I don't know.
injury as it pertains to the physical evidence surrounding John and John's injuries did not rule this a homicide. And they have the burden of proof. That's one of the galling factors in this entire thing is
Right. The medical examiner never declared this a homicide. And then we saw text messages from Proctor. We saw text messages from Proctor to his colleagues that were like laughing, to his friends who are fellow cops, and they're like, dude, you suck. I would have totally got that. I would have totally got that homicide ruling, dude. You suck. You're a bitch. And then he like, what did he call her? A whack job? He called Karen a whack job, and then he called the medical examiner a fucking whack job, didn't he? In the text messages? He called her something. Right? So like, and even the medical examiner was like, dude, I'm not gonna rule that shit a homicide because I don't fucking know the fuck happened. Like his head split open in the back of his head. That could have happened in any way, shape, or form. I didn't find any fragments. I didn't find any, you know what I mean? Like, so she was, responsible in what she did. And this dickhead is like, Proctor is like, his buddies are clowning him because he couldn't get her to give him a homicide ruling. They're clowning him for it. Dude, you suck. I would have got that shit.
the Commonwealth knows that their own expert or experts will not support their prosecution of Karen. They
That's
dismiss the
crazy.
case. Do the right thing.
Exactly.
Just do the right thing. And it's shocking that they won't.
John's niece and nephew, who he was taking care of, essentially testified against you in the trial. How hard was that?
I knew that was coming because I read what they testified to in the initial indictment almost 3 years ago. And they're part of a well that was poisoned almost as soon as he died. And they were 3 years younger then and impressionable and surrounded by adults that care for them and provide for them. And I was no longer one of those adults. And it's unfortunate, and I hope and wish for the best for them, but I've long come to terms with what's happened to the children.
Has Paul O'Keefe ever made any statements to you walking by or anything?
He sends me, he hasn't in a while, but he's attempted to send me Facebook messages. It's ironic because there's a stay away order, and yet I hear, they've attempted to send me messages, and as soon as I see the name comes up, I just delete it. I'm not interested in anything he has to say to me.
So there's a fucking stay away order, yet, Paul O'Keefe is fucking probably drunk texting, doing the same shit to her that he did with Turtle Boy, sending fucking Facebook messages, talking about God knows what. You go to prison for the rest of your life. That kind of shit. Like, I still can't get over the fact that Paul O'Keefe and his homie were present during the testing of the SUV. Like, that's fucking crazy to me, dude. Like, that is so crazy to me. Who the fuck does that, dude? Like, who called Paul O'Keefe up and was like, hey, come down here, check this out, dude? Who did that? Whose fucking brilliant fucking idea that was that? Yo, Paul, what's up, homie? Yo, you need to come check this out, dude. Yeah, man, we're doing the SUV now. You want to be here? Yeah? Cool. Yeah, bro, bring your homie, dude. It's all good. Just make sure he brings beer. Make sure you bring some Michelob Ultra for my vagina.
What do you think might be the tenor of those messages?
Negative, volatile. I mean, there was some volatility in court, and I think I'd attribute the same cause to Paul's emotions as I would to the children's.
Can you feel him staring at you?
I honestly don't even know he's there anymore. I mean, I'm aware that his immediate
Now,
family's in the courtroom.
this is
but,
interesting because
there's
if you
days
remember,
in court, and I think I'd attribute in court negative, volatile. I mean, there's
Tenor of those messages.
no,
negative.
she never. It's interesting. I had to rewind that because she never stated, because he did say something to her. People who heard it. I think Nick Rocco was standing right fucking there, dude. If I'm not mistaken, Nick Rocco was standing right fucking there because he attended court that day when the mistrial was declared, and he heard what Paul O'Keefe said to her as he walked by. We all saw he said some shit to her. It was on fucking Court TV, Law and Crime, Boston 10, Boston 25, Boston 5. It was everywhere. It was on here. It was on Melanie Little. It was on every fucking where. And she never even mentions it, even though Ted Daniel was fishing for it. Ted Daniel knew about this, and he was fishing for it. And she still was the bigger person here, was like, yeah, there were like text messages and shit, but I don't even look at them. You know what I mean? That shows how petty she is not. Yeah, the whole world was talking about it. And she doesn't even, like, he set her up to answer that, to bring that up, for her to go, yo, yeah. I mean, on the last day of court, he walked right by me and he said, I'm not done with you, or some shit like that. Like, he spoon-fed her that question. And she didn't even bother. She was like, you know, that tells you right there, A, how classy she already is, and B, where her mind is and where her priorities are. She doesn't give a fuck about taking jabs at this fool. She's trying to fucking beat him in court. And then they filed a civil suit. Exactly. Right. Thank you, Cherry.
Negative, volatile. I mean, there was some volatility in court, and I think I'd attribute the same cause to Paul's emotions as I would to the children's.
Can you feel him staring at you?
I honestly don't even know he's there anymore. I mean, I'm aware that his immediate family's in the courtroom, but there's days, you know, we come home from hearings or we came home from court, and someone close to me will say, was that so-and-so on the O'Keefe side? And I said, I honestly...
Like, Ted Daniel is totally setting her up to play victim, and she won't do it because it's not in her nature. And he's not doing it to be manipulative or fucked up in any way. He's doing it to just allow her to have her side without any bounds. That's all Ted Daniel's doing here. He's just providing her with an opportunity to speak her mind and tell her side of how frustrating this whole process is, and every aspect of this process, and what's frustrating about it and hurtful to her. And she's like a fucking sieve, dude. She's like an anvil. And she's like, nah, that's his problem. His problem with me is his fucking problem, dude. Like, I'm just doing what I got to do, and that's it. I'm gonna fuck about this dude and what he thinks of me and what he's fucking and how he's looking at me in court. I don't give a fuck about this guy.
I almost look through them at this point. I know they're there, and my family would be there. My family is there, but the O'Keefe's presence, Paul sitting there, doesn't impact me. It doesn't bother me. That's John's brother. But I couldn't tell you from one day to the next what color shirt he was wearing.
If you were framed, who's calling the shots? You know, there's so many levels there, right? There's the troopers on the ground, there's the prosecutors, there's the DA.
That's the problem. Is this is just us talking, but that's the problem with answering that question or trying to narrow that question. And she can answer it whichever way she wants to, but it can't be one. It's not one person.
No, Scott McGinnis, I see what Ted Daniel was doing here. I don't think that he was expecting an answer. I think what he was just trying to do was give her a chance without boundaries to tell her side, to express her feelings and express her frustration. And I think that's I think that's awesome. You know, that's something that nobody else has really given her the opportunity to do. And because I mean, she has a side to this. She is, in fact, innocent. But even if this was any other case, she's innocent until proven guilty. So why not give her a chance and set it up to where she can, if she wants to vent and break down and be as emotional as possible and be like, you know, fuck this. Yeah, man, this fucking sucks. You know, like, I don't think he expected her to do anything, but I think that he was conducting this interview in a manner in which he was giving her an opportunity that if she felt the need to go, yeah, man, this fucking sucks. I got to deal with these fucking assholes on a daily. All the fucking jabs that they take at my looks. The fucking, the hateful, threatening shit that's flooding Twitter. Like, this fucking sucks. And he's given her the opportunity to do that. And she'd be justified in doing so. But she didn't take that. She was like, nah, man, you know, ain't nothing but a thing. It's a distractor. The way Paul O'Keefe looks at me in court is merely a distractor. And it's failing because it doesn't distract me. I don't give a fuck. I don't even know what fucking color shirt he was wearing. Like, his problem is his problem. I'm trying to fight for my life over here. I'm a little busy.
Person. It's just not, there's not a singular tip of the spear.
Do you want to say, I mean, if that's the,
it's my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to hear you, obviously.
I just want to add to that. I already answered it very pointedly, but there's a garbage in, garbage out problem that forensic scientists or civilians or even local law enforcement that's assisting the investigators, their output and their determinations are only as good as what they're given, what they're testing, what they're measuring, what they're photographing. So I don't believe it's necessarily 40 different people, but I think it's garbage in, garbage out.
5, 10 years from now, where is Karen Read? What is she doing?
I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll be busy, whatever I'm doing. And I care and I think more about whom will I be with. And God willing, it's my parents and the people who've seen me through this. And I hope to meet more of the people that are helping to pull our team through.
Do you have the capacity to find someone new one day, or has that all just been destroyed by all of this?
No, it's not destroyed. I didn't do anything wrong. And I cared for someone and he cared for me. And it ended tragically. And tragic things happen to relationships every day, to 67 relationships are exponential this morning or last night. So I will not be permanently broken. I'm not broken temporarily. I've just been sidelined from what I thought I was doing on this planet, and it wasn't what I thought I was supposed to be doing. But there's been no irreparable damage to me or what I want out of life or what I want to make me happy.
Did you always know that you had this strength?
I could not have known that I could deal with what I'm dealing with, but I've never been deterred by anything in my life. And I have had challenges, not quite as big as this, but health challenges that severely incapacitate.
Life-threatening health challenges, but nothing as bad as this, dude. Think about that shit. Because she's downplaying it. Her health challenges were absolutely, without a doubt, life-threatening. Life-threatening. Make no mistake about that. And here she is saying this is way worse. This is way worse.
Incapacitated me and ruined my physical quality of life. This is more of a mental obstacle now, but I'm invigorated by challenges. It makes me feel stronger to overcome things. And I think part of the reason I can adapt to this new norm.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's all about attitude, dude. Like, you're either the kind of person that fucking plays victim when life beats you down, dude, or you're like Karen here, who sees this shit as a fucking workout. It's a workout. This sucks and it's hard, you know, but I'm going to get through it and it's going to make me stronger. Period. That is, by definition, a fucking workout. Crazy.
Normal I'm in is because I've had to do it before. And I've been strengthened by the events of my life that brought me to 2022.
The hundreds of thousands of people who might be watching this, what would you like to say to them?
Thank you to the vast majority of them. And like I've said earlier, only people very close to me knew the truth for a very long time, living day to day without a job, without anything to really focus on but this case, and know that even my neighbors who I could see out my window didn't really know the circumstances. And to have hundreds of thousands hear this and be enlightened is just a massive relief. And the support that people come up to me, to my family. Alan and I had a meal paid for in the North End, and it was, I don't know the last time I've done anything but tip a waiter. And that generosity, that's all helping fuel this. It helps me spiritually, and it helps me financially, and I want to thank the vast majority of those people.
All right, man. Good stuff. There you have it, folks. All right, now I'm going to hang out. I'm going to take just a couple of calls. I know we're past the 3-hour mark of what I usually do, but I feel kind of bad because I'm not in the best mood today, and not for any particular reason. It's just something I struggle with, and so I apologize to you guys for that. But I'm trying to keep my spirits up, but for no particular reason, I get in these moods and I apologize. Holy shit, I haven't even posted the number yet, and somebody's calling because they know it.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Guess who? It's Liz.
What's up, Liz? How we doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm flying home to Boston tomorrow, but I wanted to say thank you for airing that. It was really good. And I had written earlier that I literally cried today for her. It's getting to the point where it's really sad. I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel so bad. And you know, we give money. We do what we can. Me, not as much as so many other people, you know. But I just feel bad. And what else can you do? You know, I pray for her. What do you do for this poor girl? I mean, if this was my daughter, if this, you know, I don't know how she does it. It's almost like breaking me down. I've cried for her. It's so like discouraging, and it's so disgusting to be from this county that's doing this to her, because I know some of the players. My cousins went to school with some of these people, and I know people that had relationships with Paul O'Keefe. He was like he lived a town over from me. He was a big, you know, jock and Mr. Handsome and all this. Now he's nothing but a washed up drunk, to be honest with you. I shouldn't say shit like that. I really shouldn't. It's not very Christian, but it's true. So he's nothing but, he's nasty, you know.
It's not
And,
Dream Feed Media. Sorry.
no,
I
but,
feel you. No, it's all good, Liz. I mean, speak your mind, girl. It's all good.
no, but it's just, you know, what they're doing to her, and they know she didn't. Anyone with, you know, half a brain, and know what's really terrifying? What that Ronnie or whatever his name is, and I'm not putting him down, but what they said in that, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. There's so much doubt. It almost makes you.
It's all
so
doubt, Liz.
scared.
It's all
Yeah,
doubt, Liz.
it's all doubt.
None of it's solid.
That's right, and that's pretty scary to think that
There's a
they
lot
were
of solid
holding-
evidence against, I don't know, Jen McCabe. There's solid evidence
Right,
against Brian Higgins. There's solid evidence against Brian Albert.
And you know what? If I was on the jury against any one of them Alberts, I'd have to find them not guilty, because I'd have you know what I mean? As much as I know they did something, you know, beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's scary to think that they figured, oh well, you know, we don't think she did it, but we have to pick something. We have to, like, you know, or something was going on there. Something wasn't right. You know, like my son, he got in a little bit of, it wasn't his fault, and I know everyone says that, but he had Reddington as for a lawyer for $40,000. My son got completely out of it. But what happened is Reddington knew, everyone knew the judge, and these people that came up on the stand against my son, every one of them had a stupid different story, and they lied. And just that the Framingham Police Department charged him with this, it almost ruined his career in the military and everything else. And then one of the jurors fell asleep, and then one of them was talking to one of the whatever. It was a mistrial. But then right from there, Reddington said, we want to bench, you know, the judge. And 5 minutes later, he said, you're free, Mr. Stevens. So sorry this happened to you. Bang, done. You know, and he was facing like 20 to 30 years because he hit someone in the head with a gun, protecting himself, mind you. And, you know, he's a very stand-up young man.
And Reddington got him off?
Oh, God, yeah, right off. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, in Framingham. It was terrible to have to go through that. I was like, oh, my God, my child, you know, that he...
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So you're Team Reddington then, Liz?
Oh, yeah, I have to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's funny because at that dinner, his name came up, and I was like the oddball out because I was like, listen, man, full disclosure, I like Reddington. y'all kiss my ass. I love Reddington, man. Like he's a cool dude as far as I'm concerned. And then I told Karen the story.
Yeah.
She wasn't really paying attention to the story of my interaction with him because there was
he's
so
a
much
pretty
going
funny
on.
guy.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, he's a pretty funny guy. He
is a funny guy. I thought he was fucking with me. I thought he was
Yeah,
fucking with me. He wasn't. Like, it's crazy.
No. Oh no, he is crazy, and he's always bumming butts. He's pretty funny. Like he makes a ton of money, and I've seen him here and there. And but he covered defended my son because he's military, and Kevin is really big into military, and he's big into Second Amendment rights. Gun.
Right.
Bob, my son had about 5 or so guns. He ended up giving them all to Kevin. He just didn't want anything to do. He's since got back into it because he's also law enforcement. So it's, it was, but Kevin was great. It was so fascinating to freaking watch, but I would never want to be in that position again. I was so scared. It was the most terrifying time of my life, just to think that, because I knew my son didn't do it. I knew what happened. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Was trying to help someone, and then these bunch of drunks, from a local bar where he shouldn't have been. He met a girl, a kindergarten teacher of all that, and it just went bad, and they were trying to help someone that was, laying on the ground, and then whatever it went on. But Reddington, he was like incredible, and the other kids, it was just, but I don't know how her parents go through it, and to think that these people
3
are
years.
gonna. Yeah, and it's just terrible. And 3 years, imagine. And I just hope that this last jury was just a freak jury that were really freaking stupid. So that had to been stupid beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just the law. How can they even go any farther? I would have been in that room for 5 minutes, right? Wouldn't you have just said, no, we can't. There's no more that we can go on here. We got to stop.
I mean, that's what Alan Jackson was saying. It's just like, dude, at this point, like, it's very telling that they're not dropping these charges. There's all the reason in the world to drop these charges. There's more than enough reason for Bev to just put a stop to all this, but she's not doing it. She's not doing it. And they're not doing it. So
right.
Anybody involved at all that's not defending Karen Read in this whole thing,
right,
in my opinion, is absolutely complicit.
Right. So it's so weird to think it, but if you're from around here, isn't that weird? Because there's always been stories here and there from different towns. I can't say from my hometown so much. I really can't. There was one club that got busted for selling stolen goods, and he was a scumbag. He used to steal our beers and sell them, but like not like murder.
He used to steal your beers and then sell them.
Yes.
Wow, that's some crackhead shit right there. That's real crackhead shit. Like, wow.
My uncle was a sergeant too. He was a sergeant in a very small town, 2 towns over from Canton. But so he's such a loser. He was such a loser. But hey, I'll let other people take the call. I get a flight to Boston in the morning, and it's supposed to be freezing there. And I'm gonna try and get to that courthouse.
It's freezing here in Tennessee right now, man. Like it's cold.
Pretty well. It was like 65 here now in South Carolina, but I got to go back for some medical treatment.
Really? What? Hold on. I'll tell you right now how cold it is here, dude. It's 32 right now.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
Snow here it's gonna snow here on Wednesday.
Oh man, I'm done. It snowed here a couple weeks ago. I can't say that. My grandsons were so thrilled, but I don't want no snow anymore. I'm done. So, but thank you for all you do. You're awesome, and keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep listening.
Will do, Liz. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
We love you.
Yeah. See you, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Call from
Dina.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, it's not that Dina.
What's up, not that Dina?
Oh, I wanted to thank you.
For what?
Because you said something that really resonated with me.
I don't do that.
It resonated with me. Yes, you did.
I don't do that.
You did, motherfucker. You totally did that. You brought a tear to my eye. And for that,
I don't forgive you. But for what you said, I'm like, I had to text it immediately over to my son just so I'd have it. You said, life is like a workout. It might suck because it's hard sometimes, but in the end, you'll be stronger.
Well, that's not what I
And
said.
I'm sure.
That's not what I
Oh,
said.
that
Why are you
was-
making me out to be Confucius? All I said was that Karen Reed described going through this like it was a workout. That's what I said.
No, fuck you.
What I
Rewind
said.
that shit.
No.
I got this. You're on YouTube, kid. You can't take it away. You can't take away being sweet and
You
sensitive.
heard what you wanted to
You
hear.
were awesome. You were wonderful, and it really touched me. And I
Listen,
know it touched a lot of
Life is
people.
not
and I
a
thank
workout.
you.
Life is like a box of fucking chocolates. Everyone knows that. Okay.
Oh
I
my
don't want to hear
God,
this
I'm not.
bullshit about workouts and life and no. I'm not that deep.
Yeah, you are. And you know what? After a workout, my fingers aren't full of like dark, fucking dirty shit. So I don't think that's the same thing. But I also wanted to say, Liz, who I think is a doll, a little
Isn't she
sweet
just
doll.
the sweetest? Yeah.
I think she's like one of those little things, like those little Russian dolls that are inside of each other. She's the smallest one right inside. All right. She's the cutest, sweetest one that you're trying to get to when you unbox
you're talking about the little prosthetic communists. Yeah. I know what you're talking
Yes,
about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But she was right when she said, not, and I've been saying this from the fucking start. I've been saying this before the trial, a year before the trial. Nobody's really that shocked. Nobody's really that surprised. This is the shit that's been going on forever. It's just the first time the rest of the country's hearing about it. All right. So God bless her. And I know what it's like to have your son and jammed up and just be like, oh, what am I going to do? It's just a heart ripping thing. So God love her and God bless her tonight. And God bless you for unintentionally being a sweet, good man.
Okay.
And that's all I got to say.
Well, that's sweet. Not that, Dina. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And, you know, if I got to clip it, I'll figure out. My husband's an engineer. I'm pretty sure he could figure out how to clip it. But you were nice, and I'm sorry, but it's fucking there for all the world to see. So get over it.
Yeah, you're gonna.
So you have a good night.
Now, in order to clip these things, you need more than an engineer. You need a team of scientists. Okay.
Dude, my husband works for NASA down on Hanscom Air Force Base. He could fucking do anything. He's like brilliant. All right. He's a big Irish dumbass that's pretty, but he's brilliant.
He's married to you. He's got to be brilliant, not that, Dina.
Well, I'm Italian, so he really didn't have a choice. I mafia'd him into it. He didn't have a choice.
Wow. Did you have a fake baby? Did you have a little baby Clay?
No, I just told him this is how it's gonna be. This is just how it's gonna be.
You go.
And he's just like, oh God.
Closet baby. And then
will you feed me?
Tied the knot and you're like, oh, I lied.
I totally tricked him into it, but it was all due to food and sex. It had nothing to do with babies. So anyways.
Okay. That'll do it.
All right. You have a good night. That's enough of me.
All right.
I'm obnoxious. I can't even stand me sometimes. So you have a good night.
All right. Not that, Dina. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Call from
Joe.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hello.
Hello.
Well, hello. Hey, Clover. How are you? I hear Clover.
You hear Clover? Who the fuck is Clover?
Yeah, the dog.
That's
hey,
not
the
what
first
dog?
thing I need to know is, like, can you ask Dina, like, if her husband tells her how to clip it, to let us know?
Yeah, let me call her back real quick. No, she's gone.
Yeah,
I'm not going to speak to her again until she gets through.
Kind of want to know. Hey, Will, what are we going to do with this idiotic jurors? I mean, I have to give my respects to Ronnie for showing up, but I'm sorry. It's like, what the heck? So 2 people were at the house. One is dead, and the other one was driving a car. So that's it.
That's it.
So
No, that's how they made their decision. Those were the only facts of the case, according to Ronnie. So
this is ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous to me. It's like I can hear it. I can hear Josh Beth going, "Hi, jurors. Well, thank you for your service. The Commonwealth appreciates you. And look, we are so thankful for the time you are putting in. We are very thankful, okay? Now, don't let distractors guide you, okay? We trust that you're going to make the right decision. Okay, Chick-fil-A's coming. What the heck? Are we the villains? And they're the good guys and they're the superheroes? And the defense team is supposed to be what? Distracting the jurors from the truth? Who does that? And Ronnie was an EMT. Where is your EMT training? How do you think that the Lexus just put on gloves and started punching the head of
yeah, but that's not an
causing all these
EMT's.
fractures?
That's not an EMT's job to determine that.
I know, but it's just common sense. They saw the autopsy
Yeah,
pictures.
well,
They
not
saw
really.
all the videos. How
Not-
can 12 jurors think this way and just rush to enjoy their 4th of July weekend? It doesn't make any sense. We're in deep trouble. We're in trouble. The entire state is in trouble. And they should just go back and not legalize smoking pot or something. I don't know. Something
now you're
gotta
going too
happen.
far. Yeah, now you're going too far. Like, what
Yeah,
the
I know
fuck
you're
does
gonna hate me for that
what
one.
the fuck does smoking weed have anything to do with any of this shit, man? What are you talking about?
Because I guess it's got to be blurring their perception, their logic, their common sense.
I smoke
Something's
weed.
gotta
I see
happen.
everything for what it is. I mean,
No,
I might
don't.
mispronounce words
run.
and shit. You know,
No. Do you run?
The-
Let
the
me ask
occa-
you a
the
question. 'cause
occasional
you
brain
talk
fart.
about working out, but do you run? Do you run?
No.
Can you run?
My pantyhose do though.
You wear pantyhose?
Do I?
That's
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I'm not even on a mental picture of that. But anyhow,
No,
but,
drink it in. Drink in the mental image. Do it.
I think we have an issue. I think we have an issue with these jurors. I think, they took it a little lightly for me, and I don't think that they were committed to actually seek the truth. I think that they wanted to just get rid of it and do their thing. And he actually mentioned that he wasn't told how long this would last. I don't know if you caught that on the and Total Boy did a good job. I gotta give him credit.
He
He's
did.
not one of my favorites, but let me tell you, he did a pretty good damn job.
No,
Because
he did great.
I would have said, "What the fuck, man?" At some point, I thought that he was going to jump, and
Oh,
was
he
gonna
did a
say,
great job
"Are
keeping
you
him
kidding
talking,
me?"
and yeah, he did a great job keeping him talking. He wasn't combative with him. It was great.
No, but I mean, there were times that I saw him raising his eyebrows, and he was just going like, "Huh? What?"
Right?
What?
Yeah, you could tell he
you-
was containing himself a lot. You could
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I could. Well, I'll let you go.
All right, crazy pasilla lady.
Be
Thank
safe.
you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that's it. I'm only taking 3 phone calls tonight. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with the phone calls. Guys, thank you so much. Hold on. Let me see if I got any. I did get a Venmo. Bernie sent a Venmo saying, "You're a good soul." Thank you so much, Bernie. I appreciate it. It was very kind. It was very sweet. And guys, thank you so much. Please make sure to hit the like on your way out. And please make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And if you're new subscribers, I appreciate I hope you enjoy the channel, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen. Yeah, man. And again, I apologize for me being in my little sulky mood. I get in those sometimes. Is what it is. But I appreciate you guys being patient with me and hanging out with me regardless. And all the support. You guys are amazing. It means the world to me. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you to all the mods for all your help today. Yeah, man. I will most likely go live tomorrow. I think a lot of people are going to be going live tomorrow because I would expect that there's going to be some some motions and responses and all kinds of shit dropping tomorrow at some point. So keep your ear to the grindstone when it comes to that stuff. But guys, thank you so much for everything. I love you very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.